Okay. Beautiful day in Covington. Back for another conversation. And I want to kick this one off because this is probably going to be the most important conversation we ever have.
Hmm.
And I want to just set the tone with where we're at. We're in Covington Square.
Yeah.
This is Covington, Georgia, which is the first place I lived when I moved out of my parents' place. And I moved in with my baby mother.
Okay.
And this square is very significant. It's a lot of key places like Scoops. There's an ice cream place there that was
Mhm.
one of the first dates that I took my baby mom
Really? Okay.
before
Before she had the
before the baby got into the
Okay.
picture. Got Mystic Grill in the back,
Yes.
uh, Soapbox. Got a lot of places around here that just sparks a lot of memories.
Yeah.
So I felt like first I just want to set the tone and say this conversation is going to be very vulnerable, and I'm going to be talking about real life situation with the mother of my child. And I always wanted to speak openly about this topic,
Mhm.
but I don't want to do it in a way where I'm villainizing her.
Mhm.
I don't want to make it come off that way. I
Yeah.
really just think it's important to tell the story from the perspective of a dad.
Yeah.
And I've been judged over the years for not being in my daughter's life,
Yeah.
and it's a very touchy topic. A lot of times people just come on my social media and they want to know information, and it gets messy, and
Mhm.
I don't appreciate that people automatically want to villainize a father when
Not
they don't
knowing.
really know the full details.
Yeah.
So I just really want to take this time to have a intimate convo about everything during that time in my life, and that we could just have a piece of content
Mhm.
that'll live forever, and I'll just tell the whole story for everyone to see, including my daughter one day,
Yeah.
so she'll know as well,
Right. You just want to be fully transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's for you to do that too. Like, I mean, obviously, you're not trying to do that to let people, um, to get some type of sympathy from people. It's just you explaining your side of everything that that happened and why you're not in her life right now.
Mm-hmm.
So perfect. Yeah, we can definitely get into that. Um, so first, how'd y'all meet?
So we met. I was in a group called Atlanta Live on Facebook.
Okay. I was in it too, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And she was one of the people in the group, and I took interest in her because she was an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
and the way she presented herself, it attracted me. And I was in a entrepreneurial flow at the
Mm-hmm.
time, looking for different graphic design gigs and things. So I was reaching out to a lot of different people.
Okay.
So when I first reached out to her, it was to help with her graphics.
Okay.
Um, so I was reaching out on business. We ended up getting on the phone. It was supposed to be a business call,
Mm-hmm.
and then she ended up being a lot more friendly than I thought she would be. So it just ended up being like a friendly, cool introductory combo.
Okay.
Didn't really talk much about business.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're getting to know each other.
Yeah, we was just
Yeah,
like
yeah, was flirting with each
chatting. I was
other.
like, oh
Yeah.
look, she cool.
Yeah.
So from there, took her on a date. Um,
This
went
one?
No,
Oh, okay, okay.
actually, this was the one after the first date.
Okay.
First date, we was at the sushi spot
Okay.
in Conyers. It was like one of her favorite sushi
Yeah.
spots. So
Nice.
met her there. It was a cool first date. And then from there, just kept getting to know her, and ended up getting into a serious relationship because I let it be known like I wasn't playing around. I'm not
Right.
one of them dudes that's just around to hang out, and
Yeah.
especially if I'm developing feelings.
Yeah.
So that's how we met.
Okay. So y'all met in live
And she was living down here. So
in
that's
Covington.
in Covington.
Okay,
So
where
that's the
we at now.
significance. Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, and to let people know about Mystic Grill, let them know what is Mystic Grill in? Like what show?
Vampire Diaries.
That's
They say they
right.
shoot that. I don't watch TV, so
Okay, well
I don't
I
watch
do. I
shows.
do. And I
Yeah.
love Vampire Diaries, so I'm
Yeah.
happy to see it. Mystic Falls, If
Uh-huh.
y'all know, y'all know. But anyway.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Shit.
So okay, cool. So you met her, y'all started a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and when was that? What year?
2017. That was
2017.
early 2017. Started,
Okay.
meeting up with her, going on dates, getting to know each other. And I usually catch feelings pretty fast. So
Okay.
it wasn't far after the first date and second date that
It's
I
like
was
I
I
like
was
that.
sure, yeah,
Right.
I want to be in a
Cool.
relationship with her.
All right. And then you were still living at your parents then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was driving from Stone Mountain out here to Covington
Okay.
whenever I wanted to
And I
see
know
her.
we kind of talked about it in the last conversation, and she was okay. Like she knew you live with your parents. Did she ever like judge you or acted a certain way about that?
No, she didn't.
No. Okay. Cool. So that was not the problem. That was never the problem.
Nope.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, she wasn't like, yeah, you need to move out or you need to get your own.
Yeah. Okay.
I would just always go out to see her, and it was cool. That was
Yeah.
the flow. Like whenever I would see her, I would usually see her like once a week.
Mhm.
When we really started dating,
Yeah.
I would drive out. I would pack my little duffel bag,
Mhm. And then.
spend a few nights with her, and then go back home.
Okay. So what happened? So in the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
now I know, I think you have told me before, like um, it wasn't always peaches and cream. So what happened? Like, what was the first incident would you say in a relationship that happened?
The first thing that kind of hits me is early on, I started to notice that there were core parts about me that didn't fit what she wanted in an
Okay.
ideal partner. So
Hmm.
one of the things was like, she said something like she needs a praying man, like a man that prays.
Oh. Okay.
So that was one thing. Like,
So she was spiritual or
so
religious?
yeah, she wasn't religious, but she was spiritual. But
Okay.
so then we would have a lot of those kind of conversations, like what's the difference between believing in God and using the term God or universe.
Yeah.
And she was basically saying to me, it's all the same.
Hmm.
Like it's just a different word. So I remember that was one flag for me where she wanted me to be a praying man. I'm not really a prayer type of guy. I
Right.
don't pray for people. I don't really do that.
You're not religious. You don't really
It's not,
conform to any
yeah.
type of
So
belief
that was
system.
one thing. I remember one time we were riding in the car together, and I tried to hold her hand in the car, and she was like, like her reaction to it was like shocking, because I had been in relationships before her, of course, and it was always a lot of intimacy.
Right. And affection.
But when I tried to like hold her hand, she was very much not trying to have me hold her hand. So I was
Okay.
like, "Whoa, how is this gonna work?" Because I'm very touchy feely.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another thing that kind
Right.
of okay.
Like a little flag was raised a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Like I don't know if we're compatible, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of those things where I just felt like, damn,
Okay.
I don't know if we're compatible. And then it felt like she was kind of trying to teach me the things that she wanted me to be.
Like the thing that she liked.
Yeah. So she was trying to like show me her form of spirituality and teaching me what she does, trying to get me into her flow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, from the jump, it felt like that. I never felt that she fully just
Like it wasn't
embraced who
really
I was.
mutual. Like the way you felt about her, you didn't feel like it was completely mutual or
Right.
the same. Like it didn't really match your
Yeah,
energy.
we weren't matching.
Okay.
We were not matching, but at the time,
But you,
I really just was locked in on
yeah,
her.
you really wanted
I
her.
was
So at that
attracted.
time, did you love her then at that moment, or you just really, really liked her and
I
wanted
just
to be with
really
her?
was interested.
Okay.
I was intrigued. I was attracted.
Okay.
And yeah, it wasn't like immediate love at first sight
Yeah,
or love
gotcha.
at first dates, but
So after seeing these little flags here and there, like the not being affectionate, the wanting you to be like a praying man, then the relationship didn't last, right? At that
yeah,
moment, there was a pause to it.
I want to say we dated for about 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
Maybe 3, because I
Oh,
think
wow.
we got together in April.
Okay. 2017.
And yeah,
Okay.
and I think I broke up with her the first time in July, maybe.
The first time, because there was multiple.
It was either June, July, August, one of those.
Okay.
But it was just a few months we was together.
Okay.
Might have been August, actually. It might have been closer to fall.
Got it.
And the reason I broke up with her is because I had wrote a song that was inspired by her.
Right.
And I wanted her to listen to it. And this is after months of me helping her with her brand, not just on the sideline cheering on, but I was doing graphics for her. Like I was doing logos, photo shoots, whatever she needed for her brand. I was really investing creative energy in her.
Okay.
And then the one time I asked her to just listen to a song of mine that I wrote about her, there was no enthusiasm. Like, it was hard to just get her to want to do that.
So
She was having like excuses about like, I'm tired, or it's late. And this is again when I was driving from my parents' place to go to her. So I
yeah,
wasn't even
from Stone Mountain
I was driving
to
I already told her about the song
Covington.
before I came out.
Wow.
But then when I came out and I was about to put the song on, and she was like, I'm already in my night routine. I'm ready to go to bed. And I'm like, the song is literally 5 minutes. I've been
Right.
spending hours helping you build. So that was the last red flag out of those early ones where I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Like,
Because the music is what I love.
so not really supporting you the way you support her.
Yes.
So that's the sign. So that's the first. So well, besides the other signs like the not being affectionate and kind of like trying to build you to be something she wants. Then it wasn't not being supportive of your music, and you actually did something for her. You made a song for her.
Yeah.
She didn't want to hear it. Was she ever supportive of your music? Did she ever show interest in the music you were making?
Nah.
No, never did. Okay.
It was like pulling teeth. Anything that had to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so hyper focused on her that I was like overlooking the fact that I wasn't getting the same energy in return.
Yeah.
So I got lost in just trying to be something for her.
Yeah.
But early on, I caught it. It took 3 different things, and I was like, okay, that was the first time I broke up with her.
So 3-4 months in.
Yeah,
so 3-4 months
something
in,
like
you
that.
realize these few things, and you broke up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you guys got back together because baby girl was not here yet.
Yeah.
So
she reeled me back in.
Reeled you back in.
Because I broke up with her through text. And
Okay.
she said, well, you should be able to say that in person.
And that was the first breakup.
First breakup, and she was like, you should be able to say that to me in person. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you that. So I drove way out here to Covington again, met her down here.
Okay.
I think we met, we met here first, and then we ended up going back to her place. And then she said what she needed to say. It was sounding good, and I'm like, okay, we're back in a relationship.
Okay. So you back in.
Back in.
Did you? When you talked to her face to face, though, did you explain to her the reason behind you breaking up with her? Did you explain to her all the things that she's done?
I'm pretty sure. I can't recall all the details.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know exactly how that whole thing went. Yeah. It's kind of a blur.
I got you.
I just remember I was definitely set on not being with her, and she made me feel guilty for not saying it to her in person. So it was like challenging my manhood. Like, oh, you're gonna do it through text? You should be able to see me face to face and say it. So I'm like, as a man, I'm like, damn. Okay.
But it was still no promises of rectifying whatever issues you had with the relationship, though.
Nah.
No. Okay.
It was
so
just
you
like,
went with it.
Come out, say it to my face, then we can break. Okay. So then I came out. Clearly, her motive was to get back together.
Exactly.
She wasn't trying to have that breaking up shit. So.
Okay.
She reeled me back in, and now we back together.
Back together. Perfect. Yep. So you're back together. How's everything going then?
It was good.
Okay.
Like when we were together, the second half of that, or after the first breakup, I can't really recall any really bad moments.
Okay, good.
The next thing I remember is just the next time I broke up with her, and I don't remember exactly what made me break up the second time. It was probably the same feeling I had the first time.
Yeah.
Because this was, let's say, roughly August that we got back together. And then we dated until December, and I broke up with her again in December. And then the way we got back together in December, which was the end of that year, I was doing the bowling events, remember, for Atlanta Live. She had never been to any of my bowling events before that, but that was my big finale event, and we were not together.
Yeah.
But she ended up showing up to my final bowling event, and she was being very supportive. We was taking pictures, and we just kind of like, okay, that meant a lot to me that she showed up.
Yeah, supportive, right? And you
showing what she needed to show, what I wanted to see from her on the regular. She would always show it in the moment when I'm trying to like detach.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So then we had the bowling event, taking pictures together, hugged up. We hung out at the IHOP afterwards because I would always take the people to like Waffle House or IHOP after the event.
Okay.
She hung out there. We was, sitting next to each other and just on the little booed up energy. And then it was the the pressure from the pub. You know how the public
Yeah,
be
like,
like, "Oh, we love
y'all,
y'all together.
yes,
Y'all need
yes.
to be together. Work
Especially
it
in the
out.
group.
Work
Especially,
it out."
oh God,
So
yeah,
here
because
we
people know,
go.
because nobody knows really what's going
Yeah,
on, like truly. So
and
everybody's like, oh, y'all look cute, because it's all about aesthetic.
yep.
Oh, y'all look cute together. Oh,
And
work it out.
and I'm
Come
like,
on.
oh, I still had the soft spot for her,
Yeah.
and then she just showing all
Yeah.
this stuff I want her
Makes
to be,
sense.
and it's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up back with her again. So
Wow.
that's at the end of 2017, going into
So
2018.
the end of 2017, going into 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second time around.
Second time around.
Second breakup.
Second time around.
So the second time back together again.
Yep.
Of course, we don't have a baby girl yet.
This is where it
So,
gets juicy.
okay.
Ready to hop in?
Yes, let's do it.
So this is the top of 2018.
Yep.
We back together for the second time.
Yeah.
Now at this point, this is when I'm starting to feel conflicted because I done walked away from this woman 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do that for no reason.
Right.
I felt something
Questioning yourself.
I felt something in my spirit. My
Mhm.
intuition told me this ain't it.
Mm.
So I'm in the third time around. I'm like, I'm stuck between two places. This is when stuff started to get rocky at home with my parents.
Mm.
They started picking up on my energy shift.
Mhm.
I really didn't want to be at home anymore.
Right.
This is back to what we was talking about, being 30 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm with a
Yeah.
woman. I'm trying to really grow up and be a man, and that's what made her so attractive to me. I want to make this point. As much as I felt she wasn't the one,
Mhm.
she was the woman that was bringing more of a maturity out of me.
Yeah.
She was making me grow.
Yes.
She was
Bring
the
you out of
one.
your comfort zone.
She was making me want to do more.
Yes.
So
That's
that's
good.
why the love was deep for her, because I felt like
She was helping.
she was helping in a way.
She was adding
Yeah.
to your life. Yeah, she was adding a different, like it's just different to your life, really. So
Yeah, it was like my first real adult relationship, honestly.
right, that's true. Yeah.
First, like, real seeing each other. She's doing the adult thing.
Yeah.
So that's January 2018. It didn't take long for the third breakup. And the thing that caused the third breakup is because I was about to make a decision. I was going to move in with her.
Okay.
I was set on it. I talked to my parents about it. I told them I really just want to move in with her.
In January, or
I don't know if it was January or if, like, right before February, but it was just the top of the year.
Okay.
When we had got back together, I felt like I needed to make a serious life decision because I was feeling torn and I wasn't happy.
Did she say anything to you then? Like, did y'all talk about moving in together?
I told her the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I think I told her, like, yeah, I'm going to move in. And I don't think she was all the way with it, but she didn't say no. So I was going to do it and she was going to let it happen.
Okay.
She was definitely going to let it happen, but I don't remember her saying, oh, yeah, that's great.
Okay. So it was just like y'all just talked about it pretty much.
Yeah, I brought the idea to her because she never brought up anything about moving in. That was me having the conflict.
Got it.
So I remember telling her that I wanted to do that. I talked to my parents, let them know I was going to do it. And then my dad had like one last conversation with me before I made that move.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me the advice to not do that.
Right.
Because he wanted to see me make a stronger move.
On your own.
Mm-hmm. So after I had that conversation with him, I hit baby mom up again. And this is before she was baby mom.
Right.
I hit her up and let her know. I basically went back on probably what I told her initially, which is like, look, I know I said I'm trying to move in, but nah,
I'm not going to do that.
I can't do it. I probably told her what my dad told me. I don't know exactly, but did that over the phone too.
Right.
And just basically told her, nope, can't move in. I'm gonna stay home with my parents. I'm gonna focus on myself. And I broke up with her for one last time, and that was it. I was done.
Why did you break up with her now? That time? Because you had so hold on. You had broken up with her twice before already, right? Third time of being back together, you wanted to move in with her.
Yeah.
Why that thought came to mind to move in with her?
Because I felt it was something that kept pulling me back to her.
Okay.
And in my mind, it had to be love. Because I'm like, what? Why? If something in me is saying that she ain't the one, why do I keep feeling like I'm supposed to be with her? Maybe I'm fighting against something that's supposed to happen. I started questioning myself, like, maybe that ain't my intuition. Maybe I was just scared. Maybe it's scared of committing to her.
Okay.
Or being too nitpicky about the certain stuff that I was seeing. Like, maybe I just need to keep getting to know her, and
okay.
maybe
so
it is
you
something.
Thought she was just being like you thought you were just pretty much like being extra about everything that's going on, like it was just not really.
Yeah,
Um,
I felt like I maybe was overreacting or being
overreact, yeah.
afraid or just so. And because again, I was having issues at home with my parents,
Okay, so that made you kind of lean
and I'm
towards.
like, she was the better option at that
Got
time
it.
in my mind.
And you said she was helping you grow.
Yeah,
So I think
so
you really like that part of it, I think. So that was a different aspect of your life is doing things that you didn't do before
she
and
made me grow up.
challenging you.
She made
Yeah.
me want to grow up.
Okay.
That was the
Okay.
main thing.
Okay. So, but then you break up.
Yep.
Okay, so you change your mind. You have to talk with your dad. Your dad is like, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should do that on your own, be a man. Like follow your own path before you move in with someone.
Yep.
You
Took the
you heed
advice.
the advice and you're
Stayed
like,
home.
nope.
So this
And you
was like,
tell her,
yep. So that was like right before Valentine's Day.
okay. So when you tell her you're not going to move in at that same time, you tell her we're breaking up.
Yep. All in the same conversation.
Okay. And this is, we'll say Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
2018.
2018.
Okay, February 2018. And then what happens?
So then after that, I'm getting back into my own flow. I'm focusing on money things. I was looking at different ways to find jobs because I was really about to lock in and just do it for myself.
Yeah.
So about a month goes by, and then I get a text message from her basically saying she got something important to tell me, and ended up being pregnancy news. So she hit me with the pregnancy picture of the test.
Oh, the stick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that was it.
And that was when?
Like March.
March 2018. So
Yep.
a month after
like a month after the breakup.
Sheesh.
She just popped up.
How? Isn't that crazy?
It is.
I know you was like, wait.
I'm
wait,
like,
wait,
yo,
wait.
what the fuck is going on, bro?
So I'm sure in that moment where you're like, okay, damn, maybe there is something I need to figure out with this woman.
That's what I'm saying.
You did think that, right?
At that moment, I'm like, you know what? I keep trying to get away from this woman, and clearly she got to be a significant person in my life, and I got to figure something out with her. So,
right.
So I got the pregnancy news. I don't know exactly. Well, that's March, April, May. I moved in with her in May. So in 2 months, 2 months from her telling me she's pregnant,
you move in.
I moved in. But I also want to emphasize, I never denied the baby. I never asked for no DNA. I never questioned her. When she gave me the news, I believed it, and I believed that I was the dad. And I'm like, you know what? I've had a few before her. A few of my girlfriends had miscarriages. Okay. So I've been through some traumatic pregnancies with women. And this time around, I was like, it ain't gonna be like that. Right. Because I wasn't able to really be around those women on the regular and be the loving partner and make sure that baby get here safe. So this time around, I said, look, I know I broke up with her 3 times. I know I was done. But now a baby's in the picture, and I was already contemplating moving in. So now that the baby was in the picture, I said, yeah, okay. That's the universe telling me, okay, yeah, you need to go ahead and follow through with what you was about to do. Yeah. And
that's great. I mean, there was nothing wrong with that. You did what a man should do. She said she was, and you still had, feelings for her still. It wasn't all the way gone, right?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Okay. And then now you're like, oh, shoot, we're having a baby.
Yeah, and then that brought me more of a connection to her, because now she holding my seed.
Yes, like that we have together, we share together.
So I'm like, okay, I gotta.
So, yeah, okay.
I gotta do that. I gotta.
That
show
was a
up.
beautiful thing at that moment, right? It was beautiful. Yes, I'm having my first child. That's her first child too, right?
Yep.
That was her first. Okay, so that was your first kid, and then you move in with her in May. How was your parents feeling?
Oh man,
I'm sure they were shocked too.
That
like,
was,
wait a minute.
I don't. Man, it was.
It was a lot. We don't have to go into details about
that. I don't even remember. I don't remember exactly the conversations that happened, but the tone wasn't like, yay.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like.
Especially after the 3 breakups, sit down, boom, pregnancy. I know they were like.
And I don't know if they tried to talk me out of moving in with her. I don't remember if that was a thing. I think they might have told me that I don't have to do that.
Yeah, probably, I'm sure.
Because I didn't have to move in with her.
No. That's something you wanted
but that's something I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because I was already contemplating moving in anyway.
And you wanted to be there for every step of the pregnancy.
Yeah.
You wanted to be there for her, for your baby. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Cool.
And of course, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, of course they didn't want to see me move out that kind of way. So the
Oh yeah.
overall tone at home with my parents was okay. They just had to accept it.
Yeah.
It wasn't nothing like something that they were thrilled about. It's just they had to accept this is what I wanted to do.
Yes.
So
So at this time, you guys were both still in Atlanta Live, correct?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So you moved back in with her. Did you guys like announce the pregnancy, or you guys being back together, or anything like that?
we were really quiet about the
Ah,
pregnancy.
really?
Nobody knew.
Okay.
Nobody
Until
knew.
the maternity shoot came up.
I think it might have been before the maternity shoot.
That you guys showed
We
up.
showed up at an
Oh.
event.
Ah. Okay.
It was an Atlanta Live. Actually, it was a friend that I met through Atlanta Live. She had an event,
Mm-hmm.
and we popped up
Okay.
because I was
Together.
involved in the event, and that was the first time they seen her pregnant, knew of the pregnancy, seeing us together. Nobody knew it. Nobody knew.
Wow. Yeah. Kept everything kind of hush hush then.
Yeah, because that was like during the summer when that event happened. So she was showing.
Ah. Okay. Yeah. So a few months in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But moving in was crazy. Moving in was.
Yeah. So tell me about the moving in. How was that? Like, how was the transition
Yeah.
from home to her home? Because that was her. Because she already had a home.
Yep.
She was already set up.
Out here in Covington, had her
Gotcha.
spot. I had been there plenty of times because I told you I was visiting her.
Now, were you working then?
No.
You were not working your regular job.
Full-time entrepreneur.
Okay.
So
she's working.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's working her regular job. She's pregnant. She's still working.
And she still was working through the pregnancy.
Yes. And then you move in. You have your car still then.
Yeah, I had the first car
Blazer.
that my parents gave me.
Yeah, your car. She has her car. You move in. So how is the dynamic in the home moving in with her? How does that go?
So when I first moved in, I knew I was gonna have to pay some bills. I wasn't making enough to cover her rent. So when I first moved in, I was paying the utilities and the internet.
Okay.
And she was still covering rent. I might have been
helping with.
I think I probably pitched in on rent. I'm not sure. I think I might have just started off with utilities and internet, and of course, food and stuff like that. So that was the dynamic. Was she was going to work, I was staying home, working my business. She'd get off work, come home, and I think I was picking her up. I think I was driving her car because at the time my car was really messed up.
Yes.
So my car started breaking down. So when I lived with her, that's when my first car was done. So I don't remember using my car that much when I moved in.
Okay.
It was done. So we only had her car.
So one car. Okay. So yeah, so you were dropping off at work.
I think I was dropping her off, taking the car back, doing my stuff, pick her up from work. That was the routine.
Okay. So how long, okay. So at some point during that time that you lived with her and everything, I'm sure the issues you guys had in the relationship, like, during the three breakups that you had already, was the same issues happening while living with her or even worse?
No, it wasn't even, it was nothing like it because everything was about the pregnancy.
Got it. Yeah, it was more focused on that.
So
you guys were more talking about the plans, what would happen?
We were just, and it was a home birth.
Okay.
She wanted to have a home birth.
Okay.
So we needed to find a midwife. I remember that was a big deal, just trying to find a midwife. She found somebody she liked. We visited the lady. She was great.
Yeah.
So the pregnancy really went by fast. Like when I think back, because you have your meetings with the midwife every, just like any doctor.
Right. So I'm just asking because I want to make sure that everybody hears that too. So you were very involved. You were there for, looking for the midwife. You were supportive of her not wanting to go the traditional route, like going to the doctors.
Yep.
Like the OBGYN and having a birth at the hospital and all of that. So you understood that. You were supportive. You were there for her.
Yes.
Again, I'm going to go back to that maternity shoot. You even planned that out before the birth of your child. You wanted her to have this beautiful photo shoot with the pregnancy.
So we had 2 different photo shoots.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I hired, and that's another thing. I was paying the midwife. She never had to pay anything.
Really?
That was my money.
Wow.
From working my business. I covered the bill for the midwife.
You pretty much covered the medical bill for that.
I covered the midwife bill whenever we would see the midwife. I paid my photographer friend. He did the maternity shoot for us, the 2 of us.
Yeah.
And then I did a shoot just for her. because she
Okay.
wanted to do a milk bath.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
got that whole thing together, took the shots, edited everything. I was always supportive.
Wow.
We had little spats, of course,
Yeah, that
but
happens.
ultimately I was never against what she wanted as a mom,
Amazing. Yeah.
because I felt, you know, that's her baby, that's
That's her first
her
time.
body, her first
Yeah,
time.
experience
Whatever's
that.
gonna make it comfortable for you, I was just there to make it comfortable and
Exactly.
to support her. That's it,
Right.
and to work my business up, because that
Right.
was the main thing. I remember when I first found out she was pregnant. You know how a lot of people, especially dads, they start getting into money mode. I did,
Yeah.
but my money mode didn't look like go get a job. I started
Entrepreneur.
doing
Yeah.
stuff with my business that I had never done. Started getting way more focused, and I was doing that for my daughter. I really wanted
Yeah.
to go hard and be a great dad. That I
Yes.
was focused on being a dad. And as far as our dynamic, we did have times during the pregnancy where we decided to be together.
Right.
We
Because I
was
was gonna say, like, were y'all together or just together for the pregnancy?
we was trying, like we was
Okay.
trying to kind of be in a relationship, but then you can't deny, like, when it ain't on the
It's not
same
there.
page, it's
Yeah.
still the same issues, like you said from before. So we had reached a point where we was like, okay, we ain't got to be together. We got a baby, so we could just live together. We can help each other with the baby, but we ain't got to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I think majority of the time I lived with her, it was that tone.
It was that type of like, yeah, like it was like a back and forth, like trying and nine and trying.
I
and
think
no.
it kind of was.
Kind of was like that.
It was
Yeah.
kind
Not
of.
really talking about it, but
It was confusing.
yes, I got it.
Especially living with her and sleeping in the same bed, and
Right.
it's a very delicate time. So I'm like,
Yes.
she needed my support, and it was making us closer. But at the same time, we had that disconnect
Yeah.
of, you know, like, I'm really not your man. I done broke up with you 3 times. I'm really just here for the baby.
Right. So even during that time, but you were still very much not committed. Well, yeah, committed to this relationship you guys have.
And I was supporting her like
Yes.
she was my
And
girl.
she was too. She wasn't. Well, obviously she's pregnant. So what else is she gonna do, right? So it was just the two of you, you know, dealing with like taking her to pregnancy and making plans. Now the plans were home birth, right?
Yep.
Now, explain. So what happened with that?
Home birth was a very dope experience. I had never seen it.
Yes.
I've seen little clips of home births, but I didn't know how involved the father had to be. So through that whole time, I had to learn a lot about her body, about pregnancy, about a lot of the natural things that the midwife was having her take, and things that she needed to eat. I needed to watch her. I had to really be her second doctor. That's what I learned about being the dad, or being the man in the picture.
Yeah.
Very delicate time.
Yes.
So I remember just being very focused on my day-to-day working while she was pregnant, but constantly checking on her, because she was just going through the different stages, and I had to make sure she was good. She would be in pain more days than some, or be in more pain on certain days, so I had to like cater to her. I was being very loving, no matter what we had going on personally. It was a lot of that. I had to be in contact with the midwife.
Yeah.
I had to have a relationship with her, communicate with her.
Now, when did she stop working?
She stopped working, like, it was the 3rd trimester, I know.
Yeah.
She worked as long as she could work until she couldn't really do it anymore. And that's when she stopped.
And that's when she started having like the labor pains and stuff like that.
Yeah, shortly after, she really started having a lot of the labor pains. I remember her water broke while we were at the house.
Yeah.
I had to call the midwife, get the midwife over, because she wanted to have a water birth.
Yeah.
So I remember it was a big, huge tub we put in the living room.
Like inflatable?
No, it was one of those like big, I can't even describe what material. It's like made out of plastic, but it's like a big old thing. Like a big,
like a pool almost.
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
mini pool, like a kiddie pool type. Yeah.
But made out of like a cheaper type of material. It's not like nothing heavy too. It's like a plastic.
Yeah.
I remember having to.
It's so cool. I've never witnessed one either. So it's so cool, like to hear you talk about it. I'm like, oh, that's so. Because I wanted that, when I had my kids.
It was heavy. So... It was real heavy.
Yeah.
It was heavy. I guess I could just talk about the labor, labor part. So she stopped working. I remember everything just got way more intense and way more delicate. She was being specific about what she wanted, how she wanted the
Yeah.
birth to be, who she wanted at the birth. She made it a point to tell me she did not want any of her family there. That was a
Okay.
big deal
Yeah.
because a lot of families are used to being there,
Yeah.
you
The
know, at the
moms, the
hospital and
parents.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember they came over one time during the whole time she was in labor,
Hmm.
and me and her would have to be in her room and they would be out in the living room. She didn't want to be around them. So I
Okay.
was her safe space. I was her peace.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was the
She
one that was
chose
making
you
her
to be
feel,
there. Yeah.
yeah, I was the one making her
Yeah.
feel calm. So I remember just being in the room with her and just like we would kind of like, you know, like the little slow dance motion.
Yes, I know exactly.
Like she would
Yeah.
have her
And
hands
the
on me
humming
and I'm like
and
calming her, giving her, you know, the calming touches and just making sure she good. It was a
yeah.
lot of that going on
Yeah.
throughout the whole labor. I remember I had to be the one to go out and tell the rest of her family to leave because she did not like the noise. She didn't
The
like the
talking.
side
Yeah.
chatter and they were in there saying things.
Yeah.
So I remember having to tell them that they had to go because she didn't want them there. So
Right.
they slowly left, and then it was just me, the midwife, and her. Um, I remember she wanted to hear labor music,
Okay.
and I ended up composing 3 original pieces specifically for the labor.
Wow. You
And I,
composed the labor music
yes,
for her,
instrumental music for her. So that those
for her
3
and the baby,
instrumentals.
really.
Yep.
Oh,
So,
that's
and
wow.
I named it after the baby. So it's
Have you
stuff that
ever
I can.
talked about these things ever?
Nah,
Wow.
I ain't never told nobody this. That's why I'm glad we doing this on camera
Yeah.
because I do
That's
want people to know the full story
you
before
did a
they
lot. I
start.
mean, you did everything that a man would do for his, the mother of his child
Yeah,
during, labor and
I was
during
acting like a husband.
literally,
I
yes,
wasn't acting like no baby daddy that don't care about the baby mom.
exactly.
I was always,
Or not even with somebody that used to be your boyfriend or we're broken up right now. Like you were
oh
acting
no,
like you were behaving like a man is supposed to behave when, the
yeah,
child is coming. You did everything. You
I put,
supported
yeah,
her through everything. So that's amazing to hear. And then the music, you composed the music that she
hmm
listened to while having a baby.
So I remember the whole labor time. It was real quiet, and those 3 instrumentals that I made were running on loop.
Okay.
And all we were doing was just focusing on her breathing. This is when she was in the tub.
Okay.
So for the first portion of the labor, it was all tub, all water. We were like expecting the baby to come in the water.
In the water,
She
yeah.
was in labor for so long
It didn't happen.
that the midwife had to take her stuff, leave, and she was like, she wanted me to go on a walk with her.
Okay.
So
A
we
walk
ended
with
up
who?
baby mom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she left. Then it was just me and her, and we went and walked.
Yeah, just
We
to
went
help
and
with
walked.
yeah.
So we walked until she couldn't walk anymore, and it started feeling a little bit too heavy on
Yeah,
her.
like she's going
Mm-hmm.
down the canal, yeah.
So then we got back in the car, went back home, and I remember we went to bed.
Oh yeah, I went to bed.
Yeah,
Oh, so
we
out the water.
went to bed, and I slept. Of course, I'm on alert
Yes, yes.
because at any time I'm expecting this baby to be ready to come.
Right.
So I remember she woke up with some pains, and she was about to get up. She was like, "I need you to look down there."
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. I turned the light on. She on the bed. And I remember I looked and I seen the head was crowning.
Yes.
And when I seen that, I was like, yo, I was really preparing myself to give birth,
Yes.
to have to deliver a baby my first time. So
That's
she was freaking out. She was, oh, I want to go to the bath. I told her, nope, don't move. Don't
You
move.
feel
Because
like she had to use it.
yep.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
they tell you can't do that.
she was like, I
Yeah.
want to walk to the bathroom. I'm like, no, if you walk over there, the baby definitely about to come out. And I
Right.
don't want to be
And
here
scooch
without
in
the
the toilet.
midwife.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. So I had to keep her calm during that moment. I called the midwife, told her, you got to get here immediately. The baby's crowning.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed there with her until the midwife was at the gate, because I had to go to the gate to let her in. So my biggest fear was that when I left the house, the baby would come out and then I missed the birth.
Like okay.
Soon as I leave,
time frame, like okay.
I thought that would probably happen. I'm like, okay, I gotta hurry up. So
Yes.
midwife got there, I rushed out, drove to the front, opened the gate for her, drove back. And I remember the midwife was cool. So I'm like, she's given birth plenty of times. So I'm like, okay, if she ain't rushing, she must know she got some time. So she wasn't really frantically rushing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So we get up. She hadn't given birth.
Okay.
We got back in. It took about less than 10 minutes. She went into the room with her.
Mhm.
Started helping her breathe, started helping her, give birth because she
Wow.
coming.
She was
She told me to
ready.
go to the kitchen, boil the scissors that you cut.
Yes, yes, to get it sterile,
Yeah,
sterilize them. Yeah.
sterilize the stuff. She
Mhm.
told me what to do. I went to the kitchen, did that. By the time I did that, I was in the kitchen and the midwife was like, "You might want to come in here. She's on the
Ah!
way."
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
"Oh." So I run from the kitchen.
Yes.
I had the camera set up too. So I was
Wow.
doing a lot of
So
stuff at
everything
once.
was being recorded.
Yeah, I set the
Cool.
camera up on the side. Boom. So I got that whole moment recorded
Mhm.
of her breathing, and
Oh my gosh.
baby girl came.
How did you feel?
Man,
Like, were you crying?
I
Were
didn't
you
cry. You know how
emotional?
a lot of dads have that moment where they
I
just
mean, it's
boo-hoo.
emotional.
But I remember looking at
You
that
kept your
baby
calm.
like, wow, that was the most in awe I have ever
Yes.
been. Cause I was picturing it being like a mess.
It wasn't?
But the thing with the home birth is it's about preparation. It's about preparing the body for birth. So we're doing all the right things leading up to it so that it's not messy.
Mm.
So I remember we was drinking a lot of like natural stuff for her.
Mhm.
Also, something I didn't bring up, I had to do suppositories. I had to put suppositories in her vaginal
Oh, okay.
canal. So I
To
had to
help.
go and push that in. That we did that for weeks leading
Oh,
up to
prior.
the
Okay.
pregnant or leading up to labor, so that
Yes.
when it's time to give birth, it's a nice
Yes,
lubricated
yes.
environment where it could
Right.
just slide out.
Slide out.
So this is all stuff I can recall because I was
Yes.
very hands on. It was a lot of learning. The baby came. I seen her for the first time. It was no like I was picturing like blood being everywhere. It was
Yeah.
clean. She came out perfect.
Wow.
Like I was in awe.
That's
So the
amazing.
midwife held her up, and I held her for the first time. She didn't
Yeah.
go straight to her mom. Like I held her. I helped cut the cord. I saw the placenta come out
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah. Did
I
she
didn't
keep
even
it?
know that part.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like women give birth twice. You
Yeah.
give the baby, and then the placenta got to come after.
Yes, I
So I
know.
remember the
Yes.
placenta coming out. I had to carry the placenta to the kitchen.
Yeah.
We put the placenta in the
In your
freezer.
freezer, yeah.
I'm looking at all that. I'm involved with
Did
everything.
she want to eat it? Because you did a lot
Nah,
of.
nah.
I didn't do that, but I know a lot of women do that.
I don't think she ever wanted to eat it,
Okay.
but it just stayed in the freezer.
Yeah.
So it went by so fast, and then by the time the baby was here and the midwife left, and it was just us two with the baby, and I'm like,
Wow.
really?
Right.
That quick?
Well, that's the difference with the hospital. The hospital, you got a team helping you out, like letting you rest, and you just,
Oh, it wasn't
you
no
know.
rest. Mm-mm. It was constantly on go.
I was sure it was at home. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be no rest. There was no NICU for you to put the baby in. Nobody to take care of them and look at.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Wow. So when? Okay. So I know you was happy, right? You felt
Yeah,
accomplished. You felt like a man.
I felt I was
Oh, you
proud of
did a lot.
myself.
I'm sure
I
you.
really handled that and kept her calm and made sure that baby
Again,
came here
a
safe.
man that lived at his parents' house
Yes,
until he was 30.
30.
30.
30.
Yes. And now
At that same age,
you got a baby coming, and you're there helping this woman, your, well, girlfriend, ex-girlfriend,
mm-hmm.
whatever, and you're here helping her every step of the way.
Every step, regardless of what we've been through personally, all the
Right.
breakups and
Right. After
me
three
knowing that she
breakups.
ain't the one,
Right.
I put all that aside, sacrificed everything,
Yeah. To
didn't
be
have to move,
there.
didn't never questioned her. I didn't want nothing to be heavy on her.
Right.
I just wanted that baby to get here safe, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to her. So I
Yeah.
was very, very in tune with
That's
her through the
amazing.
whole thing.
That's great. So now the baby's there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure she didn't work for a
Nope.
little bit,
She didn't want to go back to work.
oh, at all.
She didn't want to go back.
Uh,
And I supported her in that. Like I said,
Mhm.
everything she wanted, I said, all right, if you don't want to go back to work, because I know she always had the dreams of being an entrepreneur,
Right.
and that's what attracted me to her.
Yeah.
So I had already worked my business up to a level where I was making a little more money.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't about to get a job. So I'm not about to encourage her to get a job. I wasn't encouraging nobody to get a job at that time. And then I see her being a first-time mom, breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
That was another thing I want to talk about. That how the breastfeeding period, she was being very hard on herself because she was having problems like getting her to latch.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was that postpartum depression.
Yeah.
So
Very
I
real.
was doing the best I could to be empathetic,
Yeah.
to be supportive, to give her uplifting words.
Yeah.
I remember helping her, with the baby and just trying to keep her from being feeling defeated, because it was times where she couldn't get her to latch and she would cry, like, because
Yeah.
she's like, she's depending on me to eat and I can't do it. So I was like, it's all right. So we was looking at videos and I was there helping, trying to help get her to latch.
Yeah. She wasn't pumping?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
She didn't pump until maybe later on,
okay.
like first time we left the house. But
Probably
for those
probably
that
wanted
first
that.
month,
Yeah, especially, and it helps also to lose the baby weight to have the child actually breastfeed. It
mhm.
helps with uterine contractions. So yeah, so I think that's probably what she wanted to do too, and the bonding.
And she was big on that, big on
Yeah,
the natural bond.
yeah,
Everything
the
was very
bonding. Yeah,
natural and
yeah, I
bonding,
get
and
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
she wanted to do that.
definitely get all that.
Yep.
Cool. So that happened. And then, so when everything kind of settled, with the routine and the baby and everything, you still doing the entrepreneur
Yep.
stuff.
She never went
She's
back to
not
work.
working,
Hmm.
but she started doing her entrepreneur stuff too, right?
Yeah, and she ended up getting a gig. Something significant that happened. The baby was not even a month old, I don't think. She
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a full month old, and she had a very big gig,
Okay.
a makeup gig at the Chateau Elan.
Nice. Oh, she was a makeup artist.
Hmm.
Okay.
So it was a very well-paying
At
gig.
Chateau Ilan?
Chateau
Ah,
Elan.
nice. Okay.
She was
Never
doing
been there.
like multiple faces in this wedding, I think. Oh, I think it was like a wedding type of thing.
Okay.
And she had to do all the bridesmaids.
Makeup.
She had to do all their makeup. This is fresh after her giving birth. And
Mm.
she was actually having doubts about doing that because of how young the baby was.
Yes.
And I remember just encouraging her through that whole thing. Um, that was our first time taking the baby outside somewhere. So she was very nervous about that. I
Mm-hmm.
had to make sure all that was together. I remember I had to build the car seat and put it in the car.
Wow.
That was my first time doing that. I was
Putting the
nervous.
car seat in the
I was
car. Oh my
nervous.
gosh.
All this stuff was very nerve wracking. I just want
Yeah,
to say that. This
I'm
shit is
sure.
very delicate. It's very nerve wracking. And as a man, you're carrying a lot of this weight to make sure your family is
No,
good.
everything's perfect.
And
It's
again,
safe.
this is my introduction to life. I haven't even taken
Right.
care of myself yet.
Man, that's crazy.
And I'm having to learn how to take care of a family.
Right. You're leaving home. That's your first experience after leaving your parents' home.
Yes. And I
First
handled it.
experience. That's
I handled
nuts.
it.
It's taking care of a woman and your child.
It's a lot of times I look back and I'm like, I'll have moments where I'm hard on myself, but I
Yeah.
can't be because I really stepped up and I did a really damn good job.
Was she hard on you then, or no? Not yet.
Early on,
Like when that. Okay. Like let's talk about that part. So going to Chateau Ilan, right? She was worried. She was
she was
concerned.
worried.
You calmed her down
Calmed
and
her
said,
down.
"I'm gonna assist you. I'm gonna help you.
We're gonna get there. You're
and we're
gonna make
do
your
that
money
together."
Yes,
Right.
I'm gonna support you.
Right.
I'll look after the baby when you working. I got her.
Right.
And
That
this
was a
is
great
early on.
opportunity.
She's used to having her close to her all the time. So
Right.
this was
Right.
the first time she started getting into pumping.
Yes.
She didn't really want to pump. But I'm
Yes.
like, hey, we gotta adjust. And we still gotta get out here and live our lives. We gotta make
Right.
money. So I remember it was raining that night when we put our newborn baby, not even a whole month old, into the car. Got her into the car. I drove them out to the Chateau Elan from Covington, Georgia. Got there, made sure the baby was good. Her
Right.
family was there. I remember her family being
Wow.
very impressed with what I was doing. I got a compliment from one of her aunts, and she was like, I've seen men that have babies and they're not as like in tune. Like I knew what she needed. Like I just knew how to take care of her.
Right.
I was very knowledgeable. So
Oh yeah, because you said your mom had, she had a home daycare.
she did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that kind of let you know like how to take care of babies a little bit.
Yeah, that did give me
Yeah.
a lot of comfort with like changing diapers. I never changed diapers when my mom was doing the daycare, but just living with babies growing up,
Yes.
it did give me a lot of comfort with hearing babies cry.
Right. Right.
I was very calm in that,
Didn't stress
hearing
you
that.
out
You know what I
or
mean?
anything. Yeah.
So
That's great.
that was our first time going out with her. She did her job. We went back home. And yeah, we were just consumed in the day-to-day of taking care of the baby. And then that's when scheduling kind of became an issue with her wanting to still feel like herself, because the daily taking care of a baby, it started taking a toll. She wanted to get back to doing her business, doing things, and it was kind of like just making her upset. So we were really kind of battling for business hours. Sometimes we would argue over that a lot.
Okay, so yeah, because at this point you guys are both trying to have your own business. You're both entrepreneurs.
Yep.
You're both trying to build your own, clientele. You're just trying to, get as much business as you can get. So she's trying to do it. You're trying to do it. You have a newborn baby. So the
Mm-hmm.
baby at this point is a month. Well, when you went to Chateau Elan, she was only a month old.
Yeah, barely. Probably
Wow.
wasn't even that.
Gosh.
She
Yeah,
was
that's
very young. She
very
still had
early
like
to be
the
out.
alien face. You know how they're
Yeah, I
young
know.
and they got
So the old people's face.
yeah,
Like they don't look right.
the big eyes.
I
Like,
guess. Oh my God,
she
that's
was a
funny.
little itty bitty
Oh
thing.
my gosh, and you guys had it out
Yes,
there.
that's why she was so worried about it.
Yeah.
She didn't want her to get sick.
Yeah, I get it. So all that went well, right? Y'all
Yep,
went there, y'all did this, you
went
came back.
great.
So when you came back and she's trying to like keep the momentum going with the business.
Oh, and then that's the thing. She actually ended up getting an opportunity from. It's a famous family that she did makeup for because
Okay.
she worked with one of the family members.
Okay.
So she ended up getting this gig with them where she did administrative type of work for their entertainment company.
Mm-hmm.
So she was getting like a bi-weekly check from them.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped a lot. Like during the early parts of the baby being born, it was me working my business, but she had regular income through this gig.
Okay.
And all she had to do was do stuff from her computer and be in contact with the people and just do her job. So she did that for about maybe a few months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it lasted a full 2 months. I remember having to meet up with the girl that she knew from the family, and she would give me the check for her, and I'd bring it back home. So I had to do that. And then once she lost that gig, that's when I had to really take on a lot more of the financial pressure.
Yeah.
Because now she didn't have any regular income.
When she stopped doing the gig,
like when she got let go from that, it was all on me. Because I already told her not to go back to work. Okay. So at this point, I had worked my business up to where I was paying a little more than what I was paying when I first moved in.
Yeah.
I was pitching more into the rent. I was, of course, doing the utilities and the internet and taking care of her car, doing paying car note, insurance, and stuff like that.
So you were taking care of it, like okay,
I was taking care.
Entrepreneur's
pay. Yeah.
Not having a 9 to 5.
Nope.
And you taking care again of her and the baby.
Yes.
And yourself.
Yeah.
Taking care of home.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Perfect.
Yep.
And then the struggle comes with scheduling, with you needing to also work.
Yeah.
But her needing you to split time with taking care of the baby and all of that. So now I'm assuming you guys are trying to figure out who else can help, right? Can help you all then, or no? Or you just trying to split time between each other?
Yeah, we was just trying to figure it out between us two. Mm-hmm. So it was. So at this point, I was taking care of majority of the bills, and when she lost her gig and didn't have regular money, this is when I get into, all right, my business is more important than yours. Mm-hmm. That's basically what I was saying.
Yeah.
I know you want to work your business. I know you want to, get back to some type of normalcy and get back into doing your thing. But my business is the one that's making majority of the money, and I have the momentum right now, and I have to work my business up to a point where I can pay the full rent.
Okay. Yeah.
So we was getting into a lot of different spats about that because she felt like I wasn't being understanding, and I was being too. You know how people get on men for being too dominant and not respecting that a woman got to do stuff too. But at that time, I just seen her in mother mode.
Yeah.
And in my mind, logically, it just made sense for her to just support me in my money making stuff. Because let me work. Mm-hmm. And if you can squeeze in stuff, great. But to be cutting into my time, that was the thing that was really pissing me off. Because every time I was interrupted, that's money being sacrificed and taken away from my family. Yeah. And with all this weight on me, I just wanted to have all my time. So that was the first time I realized that people don't really respect entrepreneurship. And that's when the job thing was coming up, where she
felt like you should get a job,
get a part-time job and work it with the job. I'm like, no. So I was not bending on doing my thing. So that created some tension. Because
your thing was paying the bills.
Yeah.
So why should you get a part-time job? Oh, I guess because...
Well, I had never proven that I could pay the full bills yet.
Oh, okay.
When she lost her gig, that's when I had to work myself up to be able to pay, and I did.
Right.
I eventually worked myself up to where I was paying full rent,
Mhm.
utilities, every bill, it was being covered.
I mean, I get what you're saying. So pretty much you were just like, hey, I see you doing your entrepreneur stuff, but right now, since you're not really, you don't have a lot of business like I do,
Mm-hmm.
let me do it because I have more. Like you already had a business created. You already had clientele.
Yep.
So you just had a bit more of the momentum to get the money, like to funnel the money more, and she couldn't really do that.
Right.
So that makes sense. Kind of like, hey, just pause a little bit
Chill. Just at
so I
least
can do this. And then when you're back and everything
mm,
is like more stable, then we can
it
figure out how to split the time together
exactly.
with our businesses.
Exactly.
Perfect. Makes sense. Got it. She
Yep.
didn't like that though.
She didn't like it.
Okay, so she didn't like that idea. She wanted to do what she wanted to do,
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted you to do what she was trying to tell you to do, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. So at that time, so what happened then? Did anything change?
About our
Uh,
dynamic with me and her.
well, did anything? Oh yeah. Well, did anything change? Like, did she get what she wanted out of that? Did you
Yeah,
get
I
a
had to
job?
bend because then I had to like we talked until we reached some type of agreement where she would have certain time in the office to work and then I would have to come out. And we were kind of on a schedule of like me having the baby during the day. I hated that.
Okay.
Not because I didn't want my baby,
Yeah.
but my thing was if I was away from the house, let's say you wake up in the morning, she wake up in the morning from a full night of like breastfeeding her. That was a thing too. She would always be tired in the morning because she would be breastfeeding all night.
Hmm.
Like the baby would wake up every few hours
Yep.
wanting to feed.
Yeah.
So the morning would come and she would want to like pass the baby to me so she could get some sleep. But
Uh-huh.
in the morning, I'm about to go in the office
To work.
to work.
Mm.
So I would have the baby during the start of the work day. And then I'd have to have her up in the office while I'm trying to work. But then
Mhm.
if she start crying and doing stuff, then I gotta pay attention to her.
Right. Okay. So.
Um, so now I'd put her down for the
Mhm.
nap, and then I'd have to go back to work.
Yeah.
So now I was just
So it was kind of chaotic
it
a
was
little bit.
chaotic.
Yeah,
It
it was
was
chaotic.
hard to find a flow.
So now I know we talked about you too, because right now it sounds like it was just you two, nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
She had family, right?
She did.
Okay.
She does,
Right. So she does have family. You have your parents,
and they were very involved.
which her parents, her
Her
family.
her family.
Okay, so her family was very involved. So they help at some point, like when you start having too many issues with the scheduling time and having the baby and who's gonna keep the baby. Did that come up? Because I know she wasn't doing daycare, obviously.
Nope.
So then you got to go towards the family.
She didn't. That was another thing. She didn't really involve the family as much as she could. She was very much in her own bubble and just wanted to be in her own flow.
Even if it didn't work out.
Yeah, even if it was tough, difficult, she just really had a problem with fully allowing her family to help.
Mm.
So it was just kind of like we was off on an island doing our own thing.
Did you suggest family help?
Yeah, I remember I was suggesting that early. I would bring that up, and she just, if she didn't want to have that baby nowhere, she was not gonna have that baby nowhere. She wanted to hover and keep that baby to herself.
Oh my.
She was like that from the jump. And I remember the midwife even said, she kind of saw how we was flowing when the baby was just born.
Uh-huh.
She came over one time and she seen how my baby mom was moving. She was like, "All right, don't be hovering. Don't hover."
Mm.
She seen that she was gonna be like a hovering
Yeah.
mom that want to just be.
Over, yeah.
And she had gave us the advice to not always want to be too quiet around the house when the baby's
Yeah, make
sleeping,
noise. Yes, make noise.
because
Play music.
this is the first
Yeah.
baby for both of us, so we was both just very like
Yeah.
we was really just all about the just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago. So like, no, make noise. Yep.
yeah, we was.
Yeah, we made noise. The baby stepped through it.
Yeah.
They'll sleep through it. The more you do it, the more they're used to it. So it's like nothing's gonna bother them. So yeah, so that's the trick. But okay, so.
But I do want to bring up the family thing, because I forgot to bring up during the pregnancy we had the baby shower, and
Oh yeah.
both my dad DJ'd.
Oh nice.
He brought his equipment out for
That's
the baby
cool.
shower.
Okay.
So my
So
mom was there, my dad
both
was there,
families met each other.
her family was there,
Nice.
and yeah.
Very
So
cool.
my family, like I don't have a lot of family here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just me and my parents.
Gotcha.
My parents, of course, they wanted to be involved. They ain't never really been grandparents, so this was
Yeah,
their
yeah.
first opportunity to really be grandparents, and
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that happened. That was
Yeah.
one of the very key things I wanted to see happen.
Yes.
So she definitely had a lot of family support around her. If she wanted to utilize it, she could
Yeah.
have done that. But
So she chose not to.
yeah,
So that's what made it difficult.
yeah,
Now, on
one of
top,
the things.
yeah, right. One of the things. So one of the things was her not wanting the family involvement to assist you all with
Mm-hmm.
the baby and kind of like alleviating the scheduling issues for your business. So then she wanted you to get a dead job, or she wanted you to get a job, I should say.
Yeah, it was like a suggestion,
Okay. Now,
part time.
how did you? Okay, so with the family and everything, did they ever at some point started helping more? Did she ever like kind of like fold and said, okay,
Yeah, I
I think
remember
it
her
makes
mom
sense.
would come over our place
Uh-huh.
and help out on certain days.
Mhm.
So that was a thing. Her grandmother was very helpful, would come
Mhm.
over sometimes, but it was always coming to us. People would always come to us, to
She
our
would never
place.
like bring
It
and
was
drop
very
her
it was
off
very
somewhere.
hard. It was no dropping her off
Wow.
places. It was none of that. It was everybody had to come to her.
Okay.
So that was the flow from the jump. It was all about what she wanted, where she wanted to be, her flow, her comfort as a mom. And at the time, I'm living with her, so I was on board. Like I said, I supported whatever, even if I saw that it could be better. I
Mhm.
was to avoid any excessive arguments and
Mhm.
things. I'm like, all right, let her have her way. I'm just here,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna support her.
Okay.
That's it.
So at some point, did the family feel like, you guys should try something different? Did they ask you about your family? Did you, want your family like, hey, yeah, my parents can help too. Like we can have we need a village. We
I
need
think
everybody's help.
I think more so in the beginning when I was living with her,
Hmm.
I was more embracing of us doing it and figuring it out by
Of
ourselves,
course.
our day to day.
Right.
So I wasn't that adamant about family help
Hmm.
while I was living with her.
Okay.
But there was a few times where I did say, I mean, when she would be completely against taking her somewhere or letting the family help, I'd be like, why not? But then I'm like, all right, if that's what you want to do.
Right.
But since I
So
was there every day
right.
and it's our baby,
Right.
I'm like, all right, shit.
Like we can do that
We
together, and
just
we'll just
figured
figure
out
it out.
together and yeah.
Okay. And you was able to would you like take her to your parents sometimes, like to go visit sometimes, or no? Like while
Never.
you never did.
The baby was never at my parents' place.
Never
When I lived with her,
with her, yeah.
never was able to take her to my parents. And I didn't have the best relationship with my parents at the time
Oh, you
because
did it.
I was being distant.
Mm.
It got to a point right before the baby came. I
Mhm.
was angry with my dad.
Oh.
Ended up putting a song out about like my
Oh, I think
feelings
I
toward the
remember.
family.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah.
It was a rocky period for me and my parents during that
Okay.
time. So I was really more so just locked in on my baby, my family, and trying to figure out a flow. And then whenever she would allow her family to help, then they would help.
Got it.
And that's it. But it was all, like I said, at our place.
Right. So now I know you guys were not together, kind of, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So when did the fourth breakup happen? Because at some point you left the
Yeah.
house, right? So what led to that? Like what led to you leaving again now that you have the baby and there's all these issues about scheduling and spending time and who's going to do the business, who's going to do this, and you not wanting to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it was the you not getting a job part that was the issue
Nah.
then? No, it wasn't. Okay.
Because that wasn't too much of a issue. She just brought it up like,
Okay. At
"Man,
that point.
get you a part-time job."
Okay.
I just was like, nah,
Okay.
I'm good.
All
The
right.
thing that really shifted for me, okay, so this is baby is born late 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So all 2019 is parenting, trying to get into a flow. Then we're at the beginning of 2020. I remember I got really, really sick at the very end of 2019 going into 2020. I was sick. I'm talking body aches like crazy.
Oh, like flu-like?
Like real flu-like symptoms, and I couldn't
COVID-like?
even move.
Probably.
And this is before that they
Well,
announced the whole COVID thing.
it's the
But
end
there
of,
was right
but it's probably what it was.
exactly,
Yeah, it was what it
exactly.
was. Cause I got sick like that too. So yeah.
So this is while the baby is still young, of course, and needs a lot of our attention and care. And I remember during that time I was so sick I couldn't even hold the baby.
Oh.
Like I was on like bed rest sick.
Wow.
And I remember during the time I was sick, my baby mom showed no care for me.
Mm. Like the whole time you were sick, like you were sick.
She did not. That's when I really saw this woman really don't. She was all about the baby, and I was just there. And if she needed me to do something, I needed to do it. So I remember I was in the bathroom. This is while I'm sick, and I'm arguing with her while I'm dead sick because she was telling me to do something with the baby, and I had to yell. I was like, I'm sick. I got body. I can't even do nothing. Like, why are you demanding me to do something?
Wow.
Like, so that was the last key moment where I felt like I can't do this. I cannot live with her. This is at the top of 2020. And I remember during that same time I was sick, I ended up passing out in the house. One time I got up from the bed to go to the kitchen to try to make something. I was on my way back to the room where they were, because the baby used to sleep with us in the bed. We never put her in a crib.
Wow.
We were very, very hovering parents. First time, and I was following her lead too.
Yeah.
So if she was hovering, I had to support the hovering. Wow. I wasn't trying to debate nothing. So I couldn't even make it back to the room. I got real dizzy, lightheaded, and I ended up passing out on the baby's play area out. So I fell on the toys and it made like a loud noise. I blacked out. Blacked out, passed out. When I opened my eyes, I seen baby mom holding the baby, and they were just staring at me. Oh, babe. And I remember looking up, and that was the realization. I'm like, I'm not safe here. This woman really don't. I'm literally here killing myself. Yeah. And she did like, I think she made like a bowl of strawberries and something because I'm passed out. Yeah. So she helped out when I was like, when you was out, looking like I'm damn near about to fucking die. Yeah. So once I got back well at the top of 2020 and I wasn't sick anymore, I had made my mind up that I wanted to leave. Like it's time to go. I wanted to leave, and the lease was up in March. So I was already looking for a way out. I was securing a roommate situation in January to prepare myself to live somewhere else. And I remember she wanted to find a place together, but like we were gonna, she wanted to find another place where we could all move in. So I remember we did a house tour. Yeah. But I didn't have a regular job. She didn't work a job. So we didn't have any of the pay stubs or requirements to even move into a place. So us splitting splitting was more so out of necessity. It was just what we had to do because we wasn't prepared to make a move together. Right. So that combined with me just feeling how I felt when I was dead sick, and I just felt like I'm in this by myself. There ain't no love here. Right. I'm not being looked out for here. Right, at all. So I started looking for a roommate situation, found a roommate situation, and then we moved. I moved to my roommate situation in March, the top of March, which is when her lease ended at the place. And then she moved back in with her mom and stepdad. And that's when we went into the next phase of co-parenting, trying to co-parent. So y'all both left the place then. So she left, she went back to her mom and stepdad, and you went to the roommate. Went to the roommate. Still here in Georgia. I was on the west side. She moved back with her parents in Conyers. All right. So obviously that's the fourth breakup and the final one. Yeah. There's no coming back to that. And it really wasn't like a breakup because we wasn't together. That's all. Yeah, at that point, we were just co-parenting. Wasn't no relationship. Got it. We just wasn't living together no more. Right. So now you're co-parenting, but you're not living together. Right. So now you get to leave where you're at, go see your daughter, spend time with her, pick her up, whatever you gotta do, right? Nah. So COVID happened. Oh. Okay. Immediately when we split. Yes. That's right. So I went 3 months without being able to see my daughter. Oh. And I cried a lot. I was very emotional. Yeah. I remember during that time is when it started to get very ugly between me and baby mom. Because? I was online, being my expressive self. Yeah. I remember crying in a video about not being able to see my daughter.
Because she was refusing for you to come around.
Well, I couldn't because we was in
Oh,
quarantine.
that's right. That's right. There's quarantine.
We was in
Yeah.
quarantine,
Okay.
but I remember her straight up saying, "F your tears."
Ah.
I made a
No.
video crying about being a dad and struggling through this phase because I'm used to waking up with my daughter every day.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm not seeing her for weeks and weeks.
Mhm.
And I had a moment where I'm expressing to my community that I had at the time, and she just showed no care for it. The interaction started getting real ugly on her end. It got
Hmm.
it got uglier when we didn't live together.
I wonder
Like
why.
we was arguing a little bit when we lived together, but it got ugly. She started really trying to tear me down with her words when we
Mm.
split, and it was already heavy because I wasn't seeing my daughter. So
Right. And you said she said F your tears.
she said, "F my tears."
Like talking to you?
Yeah, she said that straight directly to me.
But why though? Why was she saying F your tears?
I think in her mind she expected me to be doing more as a man and a dad, and she was upset that
Like
I
while
didn't.
away, while not being able to see each other?
She was just upset about my reality of not working a job, not having
Okay.
anything
So it was
secure.
still back to that
She was,
again.
I think she was just mad at that. And
Like
she said, "F your feelings, F your tears. You ain't doing what you need to do as a man."
do you feel like what did she want? Did she want you like to have a house and y'all
Yeah,
all live together?
she wanted me to have it together. She wanted me
Oh.
to have a
So
space
y'all can
where,
live together.
well, even if we wasn't living together, she just wanted me to have something to where
Okay.
I didn't have nothing secure.
Okay.
I
All
didn't.
right.
I wasn't in a position to take care of a family, and I think
Got it.
she just had a lot of resent toward that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Despite everything else that you've done, she
Right.
still couldn't be patient to wait. Like it's a process. You still was trying to figure out what you wanted to do. You still had your entrepreneur spirit with trying to do your own business.
Mm-hmm.
You had just like y'all had to move out. You couldn't live with her, especially after what you've noticed as far as the interaction between each other. So yeah. So anyway, she felt the way she felt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then what? And then okay, so when the quarantine ended, and now you're able to see your daughter, then how does that go? Now you're happy, you
Oh
see your
man.
daughter, everything's great.
uh, I remember first time I seen my daughter was like 3 months after the quarantine started, and you remember they was doing the social
Yes.
distancing and people were getting the COVID tests.
Yeah.
I refused to get a COVID test.
Mhm.
She was hard on me about that. She said I was being selfish and like, oh, you just need to get the COVID test so that you can see it. And like,
Mhm.
you can't.
So
So
just the
you,
test, not the vaccine, just the test.
yeah, I
Okay.
wasn't doing no tests. I wasn't doing nothing.
Okay.
I was standing on that. So she thought I was being selfish for doing
Because you
that
could have
because,
had COVID and been around the baby,
right, she was thinking on that level.
right? But you didn't care.
No, I didn't want to get tested.
Okay. So you knew that you wouldn't be able to see your daughter if you didn't get tested, though.
But I still ended up seeing her.
Okay.
And there was people in her family seeing, that's when I really put my foot down because
Yeah.
I went a while without seeing her, but then I started to see her family. She would tell me that her family was around. And some of them, I don't think all of them got the test, but they would have masks on.
Okay. Yeah. As long as you got.
So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, if the family is around the baby, I need to be around the baby now.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
my daughter. It's too much time passing. I don't want her to forget who I am.
Right.
So first time I saw her, I was able to talk. I just straight up had to tell her, I'm showing up on this date. I'm showing up to your
Uh-huh.
mom's house.
Like I'm not asking you.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
show up and I'm gonna see
Yeah,
her.
that's your child. That's your daughter. So yeah, you have the right to see her. There was no reason for you not to see her.
Right.
You didn't do nothing wrong. Exactly. You didn't have no beef. You didn't. Okay.
So they just basically put the stipulation I gotta have the mask on when
Okay.
I
Cool.
enter the house. Okay.
Right.
So I did that.
Mhm.
And I was able to get into a routine of seeing her. I didn't have a car at the time, so I was taking Lyft
Mm.
from the west side of Atlanta
Mhm.
all the way out to Conyers.
Okay.
So I was spending some good money just to see,
Right.
to stay present
Yeah.
at
Your
least
daughter's
once
right.
a week.
Okay. So at least once a week you would come to her parents' house to
Mm-hmm.
see your daughter.
Yep.
At that point, you're still doing like you still don't have a job.
Nope.
Okay. So what happens when you see your daughter? Everything's cool. So you go over there and you stay there, spend time with your daughter, and then what? Go back home?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a one day
Spend
visit.
a whole day.
Spend the whole day, spend some time with her, do as much as I can to connect,
Mhm.
and then when it
So
get
then,
late, I had friends picking me up sometimes, so I didn't have
okay.
to spend on Lyft so much.
Right, right.
So
So then what happened? Like you keep doing that, and then at some point, obviously, I'm sure it's not enough for
I
you,
had to
right?
deal with a lot of kickback from her family, her stepdad in particular. He was being very judgmental about what I was doing as a man, because when we stopped living together,
Mm-hmm.
more of that weight fell on her mom and the stepdad, because that's where she moved back in.
Right.
So the
They gotta
baby
help
was there
him.
all the time.
Right.
So now, I got to start dealing with that type of energy where they looking at me some type of way, like I need to be doing more, and I don't have my shit together. I don't have a place for
Right.
my baby to be, and I need to be, more focused on doing that quicker. And at the time, like I said, I was just locked in on the entrepreneur stuff and whatever I could build and get from that. So again, like when we were living together, everything was about going to her. It was the same thing when we split. Everything was about going to her.
Right.
I never got to see my daughter at my place that I lived at the time with the roommates. The roommates said they were cool with it,
But you couldn't bring your daughter there.
but she was against it. She did not want to have. She didn't want me to have my daughter at where I was living. So she never saw where I lived through the whole time I lived in that place.
Okay.
Never
What about
came
your
over there.
parents' house?
Never went over there.
You never were able to take your daughter to your parents' house?
Mm-mm.
Why?
Well, this goes into the dynamic that she had with them. It was something like during the time of us co-parenting, um, I'll just start where the daycare thing became a thing.
Right.
That was one of the main expenses that we was really not seeing eye to eye on, and we was having
expensive.
some. Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
It
she
gets
was
expensive.
expecting me to cover the full cost of daycare. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, solutions. If
Right.
I'm not willing to pay for daycare, I got a mom here that took care of babies, and she barely gets to see her granddaughter.
Right.
So I remember a lot of the time of us co-parenting, I was trying to set up some type of time for them to sit down and us to all figure this out, and for us to be able to weave my parents into the flow, so that so I can have more help, and so that my daughter can get to know the other side of her family. This is really all I have here is my parents.
Right.
So that was a constant divide. It's constant arguing about that.
What was it? Because that's the thing I don't get. Why she didn't? So she's at home with her parents, her mom, her stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
They fussing with you about you not getting a job and not doing this and doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are not together. It's just you taking care of your daughter. You want to spend time with your daughter.
Yep.
You're doing the best you can. You're doing actually the things you're supposed to do for your daughter. Though,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you were supposed to do that you didn't do?
They, like I said, people were just expecting me to have all my shit together.
Okay, so they didn't focus on just you being a parent. It was just, oh, well, you should
Nothing,
have this, you should have that, you should have this. Okay, that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you trying to, like, as a dad, like, I'm going to come pick my daughter up so I can take her to her grandparents, visit, like, I want to pick my daughter up, and you're not able to do that.
Well, that didn't happen until way into the co-parenting, which I want to walk through that.
Okay.
Because her place of living changed. I want to definitely talk about this. She went from living with her mom and stepdad, and she only lived there for a short amount of time, maybe until like the summer. So March until maybe July.
Okay.
And I think, that's when she got her own place.
Okay.
So I rented a U-Haul van, drove out, helped her move.
Oh, you helped her move out of her parents' house?
Yes.
Okay.
I rented the van, put everything into the van, helped her move all her stuff, helped her build her stuff. So I'm, even through this whole time we've been in this co-parenting thing and I'm stressed out, I was still helping her. I'm not just showing up for the baby, I'm showing up for her.
For her too, yeah.
So I'm in the house helping her build her desk and doing
really?
all this stuff. Yeah. So helped them get settled into the new place.
You were not going to move in?
No.
Was there never talk about that?
No, I was definitely not moving in.
Okay.
Ever. I was just helping her.
So you was done with that?
I was done.
Done deal. Okay.
I was definitely just co-parenting.
Okay.
And no matter what was going on, I was still trying to do my best to be supportive of baby mom and the baby.
Yeah.
So I did that, helped her move into the new place. That's when a new flow came in where I was taking Lyft to her place.
Okay.
And I would help her because she was working an at-home job.
Okay.
So I would go once a week, from Bankhead to Conyers, spending
Mm.
about $100 on Lyft
Mm.
every week just to be there to help on one day.
Wow.
And I would show up early at the start of her workday because I would have to get there before she clock in so that
Right.
I could have the baby.
Okay.
So at that time, I started feeling like a babysitter. I really started to
Mm.
feel very used because I was
Yeah.
still having to hear a lot of bickering when I would be at her place about how I'm not doing this right and you need to do this and do that.
Oh gosh.
I didn't have a car, still didn't have a car at that time.
Yeah.
And it was just still a lot of you need to be doing it a certain way. Even when I was living with her, that was a very
Like,
common thing. Was she wanted me to parent a certain way. She wanted me to talk to the baby a certain way.
huh.
I couldn't say what I wanted to. If I said anything that was outside of what she thought I should be saying,
What?
like it was just always her hovering over everything. And I felt like I just could not.
Like you couldn't be a dad.
I could
Pretty
not
much.
be a dad. I just couldn't do what I felt I wanted to
Like
do.
she was like it was almost like you were hired.
Yes,
You were hired, and she had to tell you what to do with
I
your
was
own child.
I was the primary help. That's it.
Right.
I just felt like the primary help. Like, you know how I like to vlog and take pictures? She would always be against me vlogging or doing little pictures and videos with my.
Because you love to do content and videos.
And that's
That's
my
what you
baby.
always do.
What you
Like,
think
yeah,
I?
you do lives and everything, and she don't want you to do that
She
with
nope.
the baby.
I had to fight with her on that. I remember one time I met with them at a park, and I was trying to record my daughter, and she straight knocked the phone out of my hand.
What?
Knocked the phone out of my hand. So
Because
she didn't want me posting her. She didn't want me recording her because
did she
she's
ever?
Hmm?
Did she ever like take pictures with the baby or
Yeah.
post the baby? But you couldn't do it.
She would more so put it on. She might have put it on her stories a few times, but she was definitely more of the private. It's like more like some parents are more like
doing like celebrities be hiding this.
yeah, like some people are
Ah,
against anything that has to do with sharing a baby because they think it's putting the baby in danger. I don't look at it that way. Ain't nobody.
Yeah, I mean so many. Yeah.
It's like
Well, that was her. Yeah.
so I had to fight with her on that.
Got it. All right. So, but the thing is, you couldn't. The whole thing of like telling you what to say and how to say it. What is that about? Like you couldn't speak freely.
She really had this idea of how to raise a child, and she had these methods that she learned through.
Yeah, because she learned because she had no kids. So
yeah, so whatever she was learning about child development, because she worked in that field.
Okay.
So it was a lot of stuff she learned about child development that she wanted to apply with her daughter.
Okay.
And she was playing it by the book. But you know how they say, ain't no book, ain't no rule book to parents.
At all.
And the child has two parents for a reason. Yes. So I never knocked her on what she wanted to do.
Right.
But she was definitely against me doing anything outside of what she thought I should be doing with the baby. And like I said, this started even before I moved out and we started co-parenting from separate places. This is how it was when I was living with her.
Wow.
It would be times where she's like, don't say that, don't do that. No. Like, it's my daughter, man. Like,
yeah, so that I'm sure that was draining.
Very.
Yeah, and that made you feel like less than the dad.
And right? I definitely got into a flow of just feeling like I'm the extra babysitter and I'm just there. It felt like the pregnancy phase never ended.
Wow.
You know how you just everything's delicate and about the mom, and just that's how it was the whole time. Everything was about her, appeasing her, doing what she needed. That's it. That's all I just felt like that's what I was there for. I ain't have no say. One time I wanted to buy a car seat because she was getting bigger. Yeah. And I was gonna go on a website and buy the car seat. And I told her what I was about to do. She said, "No, I don't want you to. I don't want you to pick the car seat. I'm gonna get." I think she said she was gonna get one of her family members to buy it. Wow. Because she didn't trust me to buy the right kind of car seat.
She didn't trust you.
She didn't trust me to buy a car seat.
My goodness. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's right. So did you even, in any moment, did you feel like, oh yeah, did you even have a say in her name actually?
Nope.
Wow.
I remember when we was trying to pick names. You know, it was the typical thing. You sit down with the person you're about to have a baby with, and y'all might be looking on the internet. You might be looking up names, and just so we did that. Right. We did that. I was telling her the names I like, all the names I liked, she didn't like. Oh. All the names she said, I didn't really like. So it was like we wasn't seeing eye to eye. Right. But I wasn't really sweating it too hard, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm all about compromise and finding some middle ground. Yeah. She ended up saying, You know what? I'm just gonna sleep on it, and whatever I wake up and feel, I'm gonna tell you, and then we'll just see. You know, that'll be the name. So I was like, all right. So she went to sleep that night, woke up, and she had the whole name, and
But
I just went with it.
wow, with no input from you.
She picked all the names.
So again, so it sounds to me, and and we're not talking bad about nobody.
Right.
We're just stating facts right now. I mean, to me, I'm just listening to you, and it just sounds like a lot of controlling.
Yeah.
Right? Like she just wanted to control everything, pretty much.
Yep.
So she wanted, like, I mean, I don't know how people will perceive it. That's from what I'm hearing. It sounds like you were so supportive with everything from the beginning of her pregnancy to the planning of the home birth. Like you didn't have a say, nor did you even try to debate it with her. You were like, okay, let's do it. Okay, let's do it.
Whatever you doing.
I got you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna help you with it. Okay, I'm gonna pay for this.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna make the music for it. Like you did a lot.
Yeah.
But that was not enough. Nothing was enough.
It was
it's
never
kind of
enough.
like you had to do exactly what she told you to do. Then the family gets involved. You got to do what they tell you to do almost, or they're trying to make you do what they tell you to do.
And I don't want to make it seem like her family was, because her family was very
nice,
very good to me. Most stuff I had to deal with was her stepdad.
Got it. Okay.
That was most of the friction.
Yeah.
I might have heard a few things from her mom, but her mom was cool, always welcoming. Her aunts, her grandmother, they were all embracing. They even shopped with me on different occasions where they, I did a photo shoot for one of her aunt's kids because he had just graduated college.
Nice.
I would always show up to their holiday stuff with the baby. I was around her family a good bit. So her family is good people. I want to say that. Her family is good people.
Just a stepdad that you had a hard
time with.
Stepdad
was, it was a lot. It was a lot
not a good situation. Okay. So kind of like her, pretty much. So, okay. So now she lives in this house.
Yep.
And you still helped her. That's my thing. Still.
Helped her move in.
Helped her move in and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Helped her build her desk up and whatever, her
and
workstation.
Was showing up every week.
Every week.
To help.
You pay money, doing Lyft, going over there. Okay.
And I was also in a routine of sending her money.
Okay.
So I want to say that because, there was no courts or anything involved.
Right.
I was just sending what I could send weekly.
Yeah. Okay.
Never.
And she was okay with that, right?
Yeah,
okay. I mean, I know
it was times where
she still wanted you to have another job, obviously, but she was receiving the help.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was sending what I could send every week. Sometimes she would have her family, her cousin, watch the baby, and I would pay her cousin.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I would send money to her to give to her cousin.
Got it.
So that was like the first daycare bill, but that's when I started noticing how expensive daycare is, and that was one of the key things that created the main issue.
That's right. So the daycare.
Yes.
So you talked about daycare. You talked about the price. She wanted you to pay everything.
Yeah.
You said no.
Yeah.
Or you said that there's other ways to do this.
That's when the whole thing about trying to get her to sit down with my parents, because what she wanted me to pay for daycare, because she wanted to be in charge of picking which person she wanted, and then I'm just supposed to pay for whatever that costs. I'm just supposed to pay, and I'm like, nah.
Right.
There's other options. I got a mom that knows how to take care of babies.
Right. Let's
help
each
let's
other.
get y'all to sit down.
Right.
And it was always an excuse as to why she couldn't sit down with my parents.
Right. So that's in the beginning. So she had met them before that, right? Okay.
Yeah, she met them for the first time when she was pregnant.
Oh, when she was pregnant. How was that meeting?
I remember she was late. Like we were late meeting them at the place.
Okay.
She was getting herself together, and it was pretty late.
Okay. So they were waiting.
They were waiting.
So that was not a good first impression.
Right.
Obviously.
And my mom always brings that up. She didn't like that. She didn't like that we were late because we had planned it. Yeah. You know what time we're trying to meet, so.
Gotcha.
So
that was the first.
That was the first meeting.
And the baby showered and all that.
Baby shower.
Yeah.
So I mean, the first meeting wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was, like the typical greeting type of meetup.
Right.
Baby shower. Of course, my parents bought the first car seat.
Oh.
Like the first stroller thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my parents were very supportive as much as they could be, because I told you we weren't on the best of terms, and that was
Oh,
my
that's
first time
right.
living away. I wasn't really in contact with them a whole lot,
Got it.
so it was a rough period. But I was still doing what I could to keep it
Yeah.
connected and try to make it whole again. Like once we started doing the co-parenting thing,
Yeah.
but at that point, I can't even tell you why she felt so negatively about my parents, because
Right. That's what I was trying to figure out. Like, so so you tell her about you know having the grandparents
mm-hmm,
see their grandchild, and at the same time they'll be watching her because your mom had a home daycare
mm-hmm.
business before. So she said
Okay,
no.
so I had never straight up told her that we were gonna, or I was gonna get the baby and bring her
To your parents.
to my parents.
Okay.
Um, and again, this is when I didn't have a car, so I couldn't take her anywhere.
Okay.
But
But they could
this
come.
is during the time. This is during the time she was in the new house, and I was in the weekly routine of going over there every weekend or
Uh-huh.
once a week to help out and spending this Lyft bill.
Okay.
So one time I was with my parents during that time when I was right before I was gonna go head over there,
Okay.
and I was talking to my parents. We came up with this thing where my dad was like, "Well, you ain't got to go over there. I can drive us over there. We can get the baby, bring her back over here." And I know she had something that she wanted to work on
Yeah.
during that time, so it was a solution. That was basically like a solution. Like, okay,
Right.
we'll come get the baby.
Right.
You can do what you need to do for the whole. We'll have her.
Okay. So it wasn't even like they're gonna watch her. It's more like, hey, we'll just while you do this, let's go pick her up
Yep,
and spend
we'll
time with
have
us
her
while you.
while you handle what you
Right.
need to handle.
And then what happened?
So my dad texted her,
Uh-huh.
and it's me, my mom, and my dad at their house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm spending time with them. Whatever he texted her, she didn't like it.
Mm.
She felt like he was out of line with some type of wording of how he said it in the text. She got defensive and said no. uh she put up some kind of boundary, no,
Mm.
and you need to still come out here.
You.
Because yeah, I need to still go out there
Okay.
because that's what we've been doing, and no, y'all can't come pick up the baby and take
Wow.
her back to your parents' house. And that's when I said on the phone, I said, nope, I'm not coming this weekend,
Yeah.
and I ain't sending no money.
Because now you see it was a problem.
That's
Because
when I really
now she's
started.
really cutting through everything that you're trying to do as a dad.
And yeah,
And this is your family too. This is their grandchild. This is your child. And she kept fighting back
yeah,
against you. Like everything was a no, no, no. It's like my way, my way, my way, and all the way my way, and that's it.
and that's when I
That's a lot.
realized
I
that
mean,
she was gonna make my life a living hell,
yeah,
and I refused to have my life be a living hell
right. Who wants that?
just to be a present dad. And I
Right.
did it for so long,
Yeah.
for the whole first few years.
Mm-hmm.
I said, nope, not no more. So immediately when that happened, when she turned that down, I said, nope, I ain't coming over there no more. I'm not sending money. I didn't
Yeah.
tell her what I was about to do, but from that point, I never saw myself going to the courts. This is at the end of 2020.
Okay.
This is the very end,
Damn.
December
Everything happened so
December
fast.
2020.
Yeah.
So I said, not showing up, not sending any more money. I don't know if I told her I wasn't gonna send no more money, but I just stopped. I cut off all
Right.
my support, and I said I'm gonna go to the court and try to figure something out.
Yeah.
So I immediately
Too much pushback.
within the
Yeah.
next week, or probably yes, within the next week, I went straight to the court where my baby was born,
Mm-hmm.
and I filed a petition for legitimation. This is when I was learning about all this stuff because I ain't never been through none of this.
Right.
Basically, a petition of legitimation is something that a dad can go file to legitimize the child.
Yeah.
We weren't married. I had never seen a birth certificate.
Okay, hold on. So, oh yeah, that's right. So the home birth, the midwife never got. Well, she probably got a birth because you need a birth certificate, but you never seen or signed a birth certificate.
No.
Okay. So never seen it, never signed it.
Nope.
Don't even know her.
Don't know her.
Was written on there. If your last name.
Don't
was
know if
used or
her last
not.
name is on there. Nope.
Wow. If your last name.
Right.
Is on there.
Right.
Okay. Wow. So, and then of course she's fighting, she's pushing back on everything you want. Like it's like too much,
It's,
too much.
it's a lot of
You
pushback.
can't do nothing.
Can't do
Literally,
nothing.
it's like you cannot do anything. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So at this point, you're like, okay, let's go to court, and of course you have to legitimize the child in order to do all that because they have to make sure that the child is yours, not because you were doubting it, right? Per se.
Because I never
But that's
doubted or
also
questioned
right.
anything.
It was part of the process because they're like, okay, who's the child? Like, is
So-
that yours? It's not.
So that's what I learned
Yeah.
with the petition for legitimation.
Yeah.
There's things that get handled. You get, first is paternity.
Yeah.
You got to establish paternity.
Right.
Then you handle the birth certificate, seeing what names
Yeah.
or what the name is going to be on the certificate. Then you handle child support, visitation, and all of that. They do mediation. I wanted to do all that because at that point I felt like this isn't a situation where I can fix it with her.
Right.
I can't talk to her.
Right.
I can't fix this.
Right.
And she doesn't want to fix it.
Right. Yeah. There's no working it out because she won't listen to what you're saying.
There's no compromise. So
yes,
I never wanted to go to the court. So the fact that I went to the court, I went to the court. And in my mind, I'm like, this is going to fix it.
Wow.
Went to the court, filed the petition of legitimation. They served her. She had 30 days to respond. And she didn't respond.
In those 30 days, she did not respond.
Mm-mm.
And it was what, like mailed to her or they served her?
Served her.
Okay.
Because they got to serve.
Yeah, that's right. No response.
No response. So she had until like the end of January 2021.
Did you ever speak to her within that time?
No.
Like, spoken?
No.
No. So it was just a 30-day wait of, okay, she's going to respond to the courts? No response.
No response. I had to call the court. I had to follow up, and I'm like, it's been 30 days. I filed a petition of legitimation. She hasn't responded. Is there anything that's going to happen after this? And they were like, well, that's when I learned that there's no protection under Georgia law, at least. If you're not married to a woman,
and the child's not legitimate,
like I don't have any rights. That's when I learned. I'm like, so she could just ignore the court order and what? That's
it. Going to make her go to court.
So basically, they said I either have to get her into court myself or hire a lawyer. I don't have the funds. I already had to spend money to file the petition.
Right.
So at that point, I'm like, the lawyer is out the picture. I'm not about to drain my pockets. I don't have money. I don't have a job. I'm still working my business.
Yeah.
So my budget is very limited. So,
wow. So then that happens, and then what happens after that? What do you do when you don't hear anything from her? I'm sure you still want to. Did you try to contact her then afterwards?
No, I just kept contacting the court. So
did she contact you?
So I hit the court up and said, what's the next step? Well, how can I get her into court? Get her into court yourself. So that's the route I went, is to get her into court myself.
As in what?
So basically I had to figure out what person to talk to in the court and how to set a hearing.
Okay.
So I had to go talk to the lady or whoever was there during the time. I think it was a woman.
Okay.
And she basically put me and her, my baby mom, in an email thread. And she emailed us some electronic documents that basically we had to fill out. So it was income related stuff.
Okay.
And it was something like affidavit, some type of affidavit thing. It was 2 documents that we both had to fill out.
Right.
And then from there we could set a hearing.
Okay.
So I did my part, of course, quickly, filled out my documents. And then it was just
nothing again.
Just nothing. She wasn't responding to the email. I remember she responded from like, I swear to this day, I think it was a fake email.
Oh Lord.
Because it was supposedly her lawyer speaking on her behalf, but it was an email, like an AOL email. Like what lawyer is gonna have an AOL email?
Right.
And then it said something like, I'll be representing my client, but we never heard nothing. She never submitted her documents. So that just ended up being no contact, waiting for about, I want to say 3 months. And then I started to feel guilty. I started to feel like I wasn't being a good dad. I was abandoning my child. I'm going to the court, and I really don't have to go to the court to see my daughter because I could just contact the baby mom and she'll let me see her, because she never said I couldn't see her. So ended up getting back in contact with her, and I saw her. Um, I saw her and my daughter at a restaurant, like a Chinese restaurant. Hugged my daughter. Of course, she was.
That's for how long I've not seen her?
3 months, probably.
Wow.
Like about 3 months, because
Going through
waiting on the court stuff.
Yeah.
Saw her. I had talked to my baby mom again about the court stuff.
While you saw her?
We cried. We was having the heart to heart. I'm like, look, I want to be in my daughter's life, but we still got to handle this court stuff.
Right.
Sent her money, because remember, I wasn't sending money. I felt bad about that.
So you started sending her
So I sent her a little money. I think it was like 100 or something.
Okay.
And then I saw my daughter a few times, maybe once or twice after that reconnection. But the court stuff wasn't progressing. She still was fighting against the court stuff. And then she started making me feel guilty for going to the court.
As in?
She was trying to guilt trip me for serving her. She was like, how do you think?
Did you explain why you were going to the courts, about all the pushback you're getting and how you're not able to be a dad to your child?
Yeah.
And what did she say to that?
I don't remember. It was so many conversations, but I know I was telling her everything I felt, everything, or the reasoning behind everything. It's just, it was always an argument. And then I remember she just tried to guilt trip me about going to the court, because I didn't let her know. I can always call her. I could have just talked to her.
You can't talk to her though.
I can't though.
Right.
Because it ain't no compromise. So she was trying to guilt trip me, trying to say, oh, you're not taking into consideration how I felt when you served me the papers. And then she said, I remember this one time, she said, you don't have to stand. She said, you don't need a white man with a gavel to stand in honor of your family. She told me that through text.
What?
While I'm trying to get her to respond to the courts.
Well, the thing that she should know is that you tried to do it. You did it on your own for this long.
I was standing.
And she was not budging.
Right.
So you had to go through the courts. Not nobody think about no white man. You think about court. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
But you see what I'm saying? It's this manipulative, like guilt tripping, and I started to see it more clearly. And I started to notice this is what she had been doing the whole time.
That's sad. It's really sad, because it's sad for your daughter. It's just sad. It's sad because it's like when we say a lot, like, we get mad about men not, deadbeat. That's all we talk about. Deadbeat dads and whatever. But there's such a thing as a man that's doing everything right. Like you did. You're not a drug addict. You ain't a freaking abuser. You ain't doing anything. Like you're not drinking alcohol. You're not like a hood, street guy. You're not doing any of those things.
Nope.
She has so much pushback on you spending time with your daughter. Nothing else. Spending time and doing things with your daughter, for your daughter, and for her, and to help each other in the whole parenthood, the whole process of being parents and everything, the whole experience. And to do that, to not respond to the court when you try to go to the court, really to help yourself too, so you can have your rights as a dad. Because she was not allowing you to be a dad.
Right.
She didn't want to talk to your parents. She didn't like the way your parents, like it was always something that she didn't like. And then even if it was just dealing with you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't talk like this, you can't take my daughter nowhere. Like, could you even take her like to the movies with you?
Oh, I remember. So when I got back in contact with her and started seeing my daughter again during the court situation.
Right. Like after the Chinese visit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is when I actually got back into a routine of going to her place again.
Oh.
But at this time, I had a car.
Okay.
This is after I got my first car.
Gotcha.
So and I was in the new relationship with the new girl.
Okay, gotcha.
So I remember, now that I had a car, now I'm being more vocal about wanting to take my daughter with me and go places. This is when she started telling me, no, I don't want you driving around with her by yourself. I don't trust you to have her around the right people.
What?
She just didn't want me to go nowhere with her. So I remember when I had the car, I don't even know if I drove her in my car ever, because it was so quick. I was about to recall a story when, this is when I was driving her car around.
Okay.
So one time when I was over her place, I wanted to take my daughter up the street to the park for her, like her birthday was coming up, and I wasn't gonna be at the actual birthday thing. She did like a pumpkin patch.
Oh, okay.
So I paid for the tickets, but it was so much drama going on with her family. I just didn't want to be around that energy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just have my time with her for the birthday at the park, me and her, and then you could take her with you and your family and y'all could be at the pumpkin patch. And I was already in my feelings too, because I'm like, your family getting to see her a lot, my family ain't getting to see her.
Yeah.
So I'm really like
that's
upset.
Not fair. Yeah.
She didn't let me drive up the street.
She did not want you to drive up the street.
This is during
to take her to the park.
This is during the day when she's working, and
again,
I could clearly just put her in the car, take her up the street, have my time with her, take pictures, and have fun with her for her birthday. And she said no. She said no.
And what was the reason behind that? What was her reasoning?
I don't even remember. It come down to that, really. It wasn't no good reason.
Control. That sounds like control.
But then, this is where the inconsistency is, because if it's something that she wants and needs, then I could take her. The only time I had her in a car with me by myself, it was to run a favor for her. It was the same situation. She was at home working, and she wanted me to go drive. It was a pretty long drive to go pick up something for her.
Okay.
So she allowed me to put our daughter in the car that time and drove a whole long distance to go get her stuff, then bring it back.
Wow. But you just
But for me driving to the park up the street,
to enjoy yourself with your daughter was a no.
Nah, she didn't want that.
Wow.
So stuff like that. So when I had my own car, it was so quick, because again, I was standing on the court stuff. Yeah. I had never had my daughter in my car, never drove her anywhere by myself. Like,
she was still continuing to do the same thing that pushed you to go to the court.
Yeah.
She wasn't seeing that. She didn't care. Because
and I'm supposed to be okay with it.
And that's what she thought. She thought that she was going to just be okay and just be around. So every time she said no, and she reeled her back in, like she did before you had a child with her.
Yep.
So it was like literally the same thing happening again.
Yeah.
But this time, now you have a daughter, so it makes it even easier.
Yeah.
She knows he want to see his daughter, so he going to come see her.
Yep.
Because that would be so wrong of him to not see his daughter.
That's where the guilt tripping.
Yes. So guilt tripping you to not see, like, oh, so you're not going to see your child. You just
and
do the court stuff.
She would speak, like when she would send text messages and things, when she's doing this guilt tripping thing, she would speak on behalf of her and the child. Like we, like when I was deciding to stay away, she was like, we are disappointed in you. We haven't seen you in a while, and we feel this way. When really she's speaking for her own self, but she's trying to include my daughter in it to make me feel really guilty. So I had to deal with all that during the time I'm trying to get her in the court.
That's a lot. That's draining. Like, I'm listening to it and I feel exhausted for you. And this is not what I'm not going through what you went through. I'm just listening, and it just sounds like a lot.
She said it was a lot of emasculating. It was a lot of beating me down as a man.
Like you couldn't do
I remember during the co-parenting period, she straight up said, "You are a weak man. You are not a man of integrity. You're a weak man."
You said that?
Yes.
Like verbatim.
You're a weak man. Why can't you stand in your masculinity?
Like you're what? Like stand on, like you.
You're a weak man. And then before I even moved out, when I was living with her toward the end, when it got bad, we had an argument one time. And I used to always try to cut the argument short because I didn't want a toxic bond around my daughter. I know what it's like hearing the parents argue and how that affects the child. So I always wanted to like not have that around her.
Keep the peace,
But one time we had a argument when I lived with her. She called me a sperm donor and a deadbeat. This is after living with her for over a year, helping her through the birth, the home birth, doing all the stuff I described.
Right, paying the bills, paying her car.
And right before we split, she told me that you're a sperm donor, you're a deadbeat.
That's manipulation. That's trying to get under your skin. Because she's saying things that's not true because you were there the whole time.
Right.
How can I be a deadbeat when I'm actually there helping? Here with my daughter. I was here for the birth of my child. You know how many men are not there for the birth of their kids?
Yeah. I was there through everything.
That was the last one. It was a lot of tearing down. She was tearing you like apart little by little.
It was a lot of verbal abuse.
And because you took so much.
Yeah.
It's literally like an abuse, like any abusive relationship. You know, mostly women go through that, but men also do. Men are just not very vocal about it sometimes,
Hmm.
because I feel like men feel like it's kind of weak of me to talk about it. But no, talk about it, because men go through it too.
Yeah.
And it's like a cycle, because when the abuser sees the victim being like keep coming back, they just come back, like every time there's an abuse, there's a moment of abuse, they come back around, they come
Hmm.
back around, then it's like, okay, they keep coming back, so why would I stop now?
Right.
Because they're taking it, they're
Hmm.
accepting it, so I can keep doing that, and then they do worse, then it gets worse and worse, like she was doing. It
Yep.
got worse to the point of control. And it's full control. No, you can't do that. No, you can't. Don't talk to her like that.
Yeah.
Talk like that. No, you can't take her. No, your parent. I'm not talking to your parents. It's like you have to conform to everything she's saying, pretty much, because you've been doing it,
Yeah.
so you're gonna continue doing it. Like, thankfully, you realize, like, wait, like, what's going on? It's so toxic. That's like the whole true meaning of toxic.
Yeah.
Like, it's
It was that.
very toxic.
And there was a time, the whole dynamic between her and my parents.
Yeah.
There was a conversation where she straight up said, "F your parents."
Wow.
She said it with emphasis, like she really had this
Meant that.
anger, like they did something to her.
And they didn't even have a relationship.
No, they was barely around her.
Right.
But I want to include this
Mm-hmm.
too. I have to take some accountability in that, her
Mm-hmm.
feeling toward them, because even when we were dating and before the baby came,
Mm-hmm.
I used to confide in her about the issues I was having at home. So honestly, I was saying a lot of negative feelings and things about my parents to her.
Okay.
So I think I am partially responsible for, probably like fully responsible for how she viewed them, because
You had a bad.
I was in a bad space with being at home with my
Yeah.
parents, and I just didn't have the best things to say all the time.
So you think based
So
off of that, that's why
I think that's probably why she had the opinion that she had of them, because I was painting them to be more bad than good. And like I said, I was viewing her as like, you're doing more for my growth than my parents. I want to move in with you. I want to be with you. So I think I did have something to do with that, because
guess a
I don't
little
want to
bit.
I don't want to make this conversation sound like
I understand. I mean,
it's just her, because I'm
well,
not
this is only
perfect.
one part of it.
Right.
We don't only talk about your parents, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything else is valid. You
Yeah.
understand? So you talking about your parents in a bad light, and her, and you feeling like, maybe her comment was based off of what you told her.
Hmm.
That's only one part of the story.
Yeah.
Everything else ain't got to do nothing with your parents.
Yeah.
It's about you and her, and that's it.
Oh, and I know she used to feel some type of way because they wouldn't call. She was expecting my parents to call more and check on the baby. So that was
Oh,
another thing. I think that's one of the main things
so she felt like
where
they
she
didn't
said,
care.
"F your parents. They don't call. They don't check on.
Okay,
They're not involved."
right. Well,
So
I mean, you didn't have, like you said, when you left, you didn't leave on good terms with your parents anyway.
yeah,
So I guess that's what it is. But that's something that could have been
fixed.
fixed.
And
Yeah,
I was trying, but she
that's
wasn't trying to have it.
exactly. Well, she wasn't trying to have nothing.
She wasn't trying to have nothing.
Exactly. So again, that's just one little part of it about your parents. That's something totally different.
Yep.
Everything else is her doing with her own mind, her own strength.
I gotta include this. So during the time I was trying to get her into court,
Mhm.
I'm in a relationship with a woman that I dated before and got back with her. So I'm in a relationship with her in Atlanta. And during the time I'm trying to get baby mom into court and she's ignoring the court, she ended up reaching out to the girl I was with at the time.
Okay. Wow.
And she ended up texting her something and basically telling my lady at the time, this is Brandon's baby mom, da 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 da. And she was being very critical of me in the message, and basically told my lady, don't let him see this. Call me when you get time and we can chat as women. And
What?
so she was really she took the time, and I think she got her number.
I was gonna ask you how she got her.
I think she got her number while I was at her place, because remember I said I got into a flow of going to see her at the place, and I think I left my phone somewhere and had my baby in the other room. So I think that was the time where she could go get the phone, see who I'm texting, and that's probably how she found that I was texting a woman, and then she saved the number, and that's how she got in contact. So
That's
During the whole time where you can't reply to the court, you trying to stir up some issues in the relationship, this new relationship that I
what?
found or
But
that I'm
why?
in.
What was she trying to talk to her? You still
I
haven't
have
proved.
no idea because the lady I was with at the time, she was not with that. She
Yeah.
shut it down.
So
So
she
they,
already knew about the history you guys had, yeah, with the
yeah,
child. I mean, like I said, the thing is it's with your child. I think that's what makes it even like more sensitive, is that she. So right now, since the court stuff started, you guys never talked again, pretty much. After you went back and helped her here and there.
then then I put my foot down again and I said, look, I'm not about to get back into this flow of me coming to help you and sending money, and we're not going back to what it was. We need to get this court thing situated. And
Good.
she kept, that's when she started trying to guilt trip me. And I said,
Right.
well, you know what? I tried. I showed up again. I don't know what else I can do. I'm going to go back to what I was doing. I can't see you. I can't see, not you, but I can't see my daughter. I'm not showing up. I'm not sending money until we get this court thing handled. And she
Right.
said, well, she just left it there.
So she didn't care. Like she wasn't gonna.
She ain't
She
been,
wasn't gonna budge.
nope,
And you weren't gonna budge anyway.
nope. And
Because
I was
she
made to,
still wanted to have control over everything. So she's like, like I'm not gonna do it. And she wasn't gonna respond to the courts anyway. Wow.
so then, yeah.
So that's how it's been left. It's,
And then I ended up moving to Florida right after that whole thing happened. And that was
and
tough.
that's when she contacted the girl that you were with.
Nah,
While
she contacted her while we was still in Atlanta.
still in Atlanta. Okay.
It was like early in the,
Wow.
like 2021, early on, during all the midst of trying to get her into court.
Right.
She did that. And then I moved to Florida, and I remember I got one more email from the courts while I was in Florida.
Yeah.
And they were like basically emailing, like,
Right.
they was trying to see if my baby mom was gonna respond. They was like,
The courts.
yeah, they straight up asked her, like, are you gonna fill out the papers?
Right.
Because it's a whole year into this case, and they waiting on her to submit
So that's
2
like almost like
documents.
the third time that they were reaching out to
Yeah, it
her.
was probably like a third time they
Yeah.
reached out, and then they was like, are you gonna send the paperwork so that we can set the hearing? And then it was another response from the lawyer saying, we'll send it over the weekend. Nothing
Never
ever got sent.
happened. Wow.
So
From the lawyer.
yeah, the lawyer.
Right. And then nothing since then.
Nothing since then. That's it.
That is sad. That is sad. It's just sad for me to hear that, because you did you did a lot. You did everything that you possibly thought that you could do. You chose not to keep the toxic cycle going, because that's toxic, and it wasn't doing anything good. It was literally her just running the show.
Yeah.
And you not having a say in anything. That don't
Yeah.
make sense. Nobody, no man is gonna just go along with that. No man should go along with that, actually.
Yeah.
And I'm all for, people like, doing what they need to do for their kids and everything. But there was nothing righteous about that. Nothing. Because there was nothing you were doing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing at all. So you didn't deserve that. So I got you doing all those things, and I think people need to know, because I feel like people be judging. Of course.
Yeah, I've been judged a lot over the years. That's
Right.
why I'm happy that we were able to like really go into detail.
Yeah.
Because people need to know this. They need to
Yeah.
know that when a dad isn't in their child's life by choice, it does not always mean he's a bad man or doesn't love his family or doesn't love his child. I love that little girl.
Of course.
And if it was up to me, of course, I would still be in her life.
Yeah.
Would have never left.
And we see videos of you with her, like the
Yeah.
lives that you have in the house with her and playing around, and the songs you wrote for her, like, and everything that you did. You would have continued doing all those things, but she was just blocking
Yeah.
everything you wanted to do all the time. It just wasn't a good situation, a good atmosphere too for your daughter to witness all the
Yeah,
time.
I didn't. That's another. I did not want my
It's
daughter
a
to
lot.
ever witness me stressed or heavy.
Or being treated like that too,
Yeah.
in front of her.
Yeah,
by
I'm
her
basically
mom.
being emasculated in
Yes.
front of my daughter. I'm
Yeah.
not about to have that.
It's not right. And
No.
I think you were right. I think you validated in the things that she did. I think it's sad. It's fucked up. Like, I even felt like that myself. Like, as a woman, I have children.
Yep.
So every time I'm around you and I'm like, oh my God, and I see how you are and how you love kids. Kids love you.
Mhm.
Like any kid. Not even just my kids. My kids love you, obviously. but I've seen you around other kids, like at the park and stuff like that, and you like a magnet for
Mm-hmm.
children. Children, like people love you, period.
Mm-hmm.
But kids love you, and you're like a big kid yourself. Like
Yeah.
you're a big ass kid. You be playing with them and everything,
Yep.
and it makes me sad because I'm like, oh my god, like he's such a good person, a good like he would be a good dad. Like you were a good dad. You
Nah, I
are
did.
a good dad because you're still a dad. You are. And if she would only understand like that, number one, you can't control everything. Number two, he is also the father of this child. She needs her dad. She needs to know who you are, like all the great things that you're doing. Like she needs both parents. So it is kind of weird to behave like that because it's like, damn, don't you want her to be around her dad?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you understand? And it's sad because I wonder what her friends are telling her if she has, friends to explain to like, girl, or I wonder what she tells them about the situation,
And this
like
is
of what
this is
happened.
another unfortunate position to be in, or why
Yeah,
it's a tough spot to be in, because now dealing with a woman like this who's done everything to avoid and to not cooperate,
yeah,
now I've had to sit in this and have to question everything. I don't
yeah,
even know if the baby is mine.
yeah. A lot of
So
doubts.
when people say, yeah, you still a dad, I can't even say that
Hmm.
in full confidence, because part of that petition of legitimation is the DNA test, the
Of course,
paternity.
yeah.
So now you have to sit and think and
Because why would
ponder
you want to do
why.
that?
Like, why would a woman do this? It's women out here that's taking men to court.
Right.
It's more so the women doing it,
Yeah,
trying to,
because they
like,
want
they
child
want child support.
support.
They're trying to make a
Right.
man
They
be a
want
dad.
visitation because they
Here,
need help or
here I am as
whatever.
a dad. I've been showing up, been doing
Yeah.
everything, and I went to the court and
You
basically
went.
said basically, put me on child support,
Right.
please put me on child support.
Exactly. You went to the court
And I did this
to
without a
serve
job.
her. Right.
I wanted to be put on child support without a job,
Without a job, right?
and I
Like
figured out
what
just
men would do that if they didn't want to be in their child's life?
so.
Like that don't even make sense when people say those things about you or to you about like, oh, he's not even his child's life or whatever, not knowing even the backstory of everything that you went through, and people wanting you to be that martyr, like to be the one, like almost like to sacrifice yourself, right? And just like deal with the hurt and the freaking trial, like
And
this.
this is what I really want to drive home and talk about, is because I am not a supporter of that mentality that
Yeah.
dads have to constantly bite the bullet, like
Yep.
they say. If you just listen to that phrase, bite the bullet, the
Right.
bullet, why
Bite
why
it.
am I getting shot?
Right.
Bullet. So men are expected to weather every storm and just deal with all the shit and to fight to be in their child's life. Why do I have to fight?
Mm.
Why do I have to fight
Yeah.
to be a parent?
It's pretty much getting beat up, really.
You don't have to
You're
fight.
getting beat up.
As the mom,
Right.
you're getting free reign to do
Yeah.
whatever you want. Why is it that I'm expected to do the most? And when I have a stance as a man and finally say I'm tired of fighting and I deserve to have some peace,
Mm-hmm.
and all I really want is a healthy co-parenting situation, because I
Right.
don't
So
hate
it's like
her.
your child,
I don't
right?
hate her. If that's my child and you birth my child, I'm forever going to love you for
Of course.
birthing my child, and I'm
Right.
gonna look out for both of y'all.
Right.
And I want us to just have a relationship where we can communicate
Yeah.
healthy, we can do what we need to do for this
Yeah.
baby, and that's all it's about.
That would be great. That
So
would be
why do I have to
amazing.
fight? Why?
Yeah.
So I got to a point where I got tired of fighting and I chose to walk away
Mm-hmm.
from a little girl that I love more than anything. And
Yeah.
now I'm not cool with people looking at me like I'm some deadbeat,
I
or
know that hurt. That's
because,
hurtful to hear that.
and what's hard is that, yeah,
Yeah.
the option is there for me to go find her and reach out. But why? So I
That
could
would be
sign up
right.
for
That
more
would be you.
abuse?
Right. That would be you doing the same thing you've been doing. You always did it. You literally did it over and over, and you got the same result every time. Why keep doing that? That is a cycle of
Like,
abuse.
just because
And let me
that's an
go back
option,
again.
just because that's an option
It's not the good.
that
It's not the
I
best
can do
option.
that, yeah, I can go
Because you've done that.
reach out.
Actually, you've done it already.
So where's her accountability?
Exactly.
Where does the mother's accountability lie? Why am I not owed respect?
Yep.
Why can't I get an apology
Yeah.
for how I've been treated?
Yeah.
Because I am owed an apology for how I've been treated as a dad, because of all the sacrifices I made
Yeah.
for my child and for her. I
Look
can't
at
get
that.
something as simple as respect.
It's like it's forgotten. It's like, oh, he didn't do anything, or he was supposed to. Like, no, he wasn't. He didn't have to.
And look,
you did everything that you were supposed to do. But the point is, you also did not get what you were supposed to get as a dad. You didn't get the respect. You didn't get the freedom of being with your child. You didn't get none of that.
and
So
of course, I want to say, in the ideal situation,
yeah,
when we bring life into the world, of course, we would want to have all our shit together, have a
oh
home,
yeah,
have a nice, perfect home, have
right,
all your money together, have a safe space. In a perfect world, every man would have their shit together before they have a child.
right,
But in reality, when is that ever gonna fucking happen? That is
right. It
very
doesn't
rare.
happen like
It's
that.
very
Yeah,
rare
it is
that you
very
bring a
rare.
child into a perfect situation. And to me, a man does not have to have everything together for himself to be respected as a man.
No,
Us men need help too. We
right.
carry all this weight to be the strength and the single pillar of strength for everybody around us. And if we ain't doing everything perfect and we not doing the job the way it needs to be done, then we get shitted on. I don't. That's not cool.
Yeah,
It's not
it's not.
cool. I can see if it's a man that ain't doing what he's supposed to
Yeah,
do.
but you did a lot.
But it's men like me out here that really love their family, and we dealing with some major odds, some major opposition from the people that's supposed to be giving us support,
Yeah.
from the main woman that's supposed to give us support.
You did a lot. You did more than a lot of men do. You did so much more. You did a lot more than what I got from
Mm.
my kids' fathers. You know what I mean? Like 1,000 times more. So to be treated like that, it's like wow. Like I'm just like in shock that she didn't see the greatness in you. She didn't see like all the strength that you brought, like all the support you brought to her, like how you try to make everything easy
Yeah.
for her, despite the breakups and all the things you've seen prior to her getting pregnant, way before.
Mm-hmm.
You still gave her the same energy of love, care, attention. You still did that. So that's a lot more than anybody would give her based on how she treated them, on
Yeah.
how she treated you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad. I'm just glad you was able to open up
Yeah.
and say all of that and talk about it. It's sad that there was no closure out of it. It was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna do this. And she's like, oh well, you do what you're gonna do,
She
and then that
said,
was it.
I remember her saying, she was like, well, if that makes sense to you.
Wow.
She tried to say I was making an emotional decision when I stopped sending money and went to the court.
Both of
She
this
thought I was doing that out of my emotions.
again based on how you acting.
That wasn't an emotional decision.
It's
That was a man
it's
getting tired of being abused and
right
tired of not having any
based
rights.
on your actions, right? Like her actions.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, what else do you want me to do? But she wasn't gonna change, and she wasn't gonna admit what she was doing, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people do usually when they're like that. They gaslight you to make you feel like you're the one who's wrong, and you're the one who's acting up. So yeah. So it's actually good that you're not in that situation with her, but it's bad for your daughter because she doesn't get to be with you, around you, spend time with you. So that's all I'm saying. I wonder how she feels about that. You know what I mean? I wonder how she feels about that. I wonder what she tells her people about the situation, and I wonder what she tells your daughter. Because I
Right.
know your daughter is gonna have questions like, "Where's my dad? Like, like what's going on?" So I hope that she doesn't say anything too out the way to her, and we can only hope for that. But I hope that something comes out of this.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so that something can change because, like I said, I'm a mom, so that's how I feel usually when I watch her with other kids, and when you talk about her, because you do talk about her, and it's just sad. And I'm like, I wish you could see her. I wish things could be different. I wish that the baby mom would change her mind, like have a change of heart, or because people change,
Mm-hmm.
people do change. So if she do change and her heart gets a little softer and she understands and she processes everything, it would be great if she could acknowledge that and like reach out and not be so stubborn or prideful and not reach out because you did things based off of her actions. It was too much pushback. What else can you do?
And that's all it would take.
Yeah,
That's all it would take is her calling
yeah,
and a sincere apology,
yeah.
a real heart to heart conversation.
It
And
was
I'm still
hurtful.
standing on the court. The
Yeah,
court stuff got to
because
get handled.
you need to
DNA,
do
all
that.
that. Because
Yeah,
at this point, it ain't no trust now.
yeah.
Because now it's been 4 years.
Wow.
It's been 4 years of not being in my daughter's life.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Four
years
years. Yeah, that's
to
a
not
lot.
be around.
That's a long time, babe.
So I mean,
Yeah.
if she ever did decide to call, I could still have a heart.
Of course.
I'm always gonna have a heart. I always had a heart through the whole time dealing with her.
Yeah. It would just be a
It's just I
conversation.
can't be the only one with the heart though.
Exactly.
I
That's
don't.
when it's draining because it's too much. You're giving. You giving.
So
You're
now
giving a lot.
I've chalked it up because I cried a lot of tears over the
Yeah.
years because of this,
Yeah.
over this, questioning myself if I'm really making the right decision as a dad.
Yeah.
But I'm having to stand on my decision, and I don't care how people look at it. It's a lot of people who look at me as a deadbeat because, like I said, I have the option to be around, and I'm choosing not to. And there are dads that stay in toxic situations just to be in the child's life.
Yep.
And I'm not one of those dads that's
And they're
subscribing
miserable.
to that.
And they're miserable.
Some
And
of those
because
dads,
I know a lot of them. And
some of those dads go 18 years of doing that and
Yep.
find out the kid ain't even theirs.
Yeah.
So
so many stories about
there's
that.
a lot of ways this thing can go.
Yep. So it's like, yeah, stick to the core. Like I agree. You should, and that shouldn't be a problem to do. You going to court? She should just go.
So this is how I look at it. If she's okay with this amount of time passing, then now I'm in a position where I feel like I was just used as the sperm. She just wanted the baby. That's it. So she got what she wanted. Some women out here want to be single mothers. As crazy as that sounds, I think she wanted to be a single mother. And I'll say this, she straight up told me one time during the co-parenting, she said life would be easier and way better if you weren't in the picture.
Wow.
But I can't say that because, you know, your daughter, but you said it.
Because what?
She said, I can't really say that after saying it. She said life would be better if you weren't in the picture.
Wow.
And I'm not in the picture. And she ain't reaching out. And I don't.
So you think she's good? Like,
I think I know she's struggling because that statement alone is a lie. Your life is never easier without a supportive dad around.
Especially with the child, because the child's gonna ask questions.
Your life is never easier without a man that wants to be a dad. Your life is inevitably easier. Your life is easier when you have a good man that wants to be a dad.
Right. Why wouldn't you want that?
So
why wouldn't you want that?
Like, she made her decisions and created her life the way she wanted it. And who am I to get in the way of that? I'm not about to be stressed out. Yeah. I'm not about to abuse me.
No, not at all. Yep. So
I had to give up. I had to give up something that I really cared a lot about. I loved being a dad. Yeah. At this point, she kind of really fucked up my dream of being a dad. Really? I got a real sour taste. Like now I'm in my later 30s. Yeah. I could go the rest of my life and not have another baby. Like I don't know. After going through that, it's just like, if it happens, it happens. If not, you know, whatever. Well, I get it. And that's sad. It's sad. Fucked up, but I wanted to tell the story not to make her look like a villain or make her look bad.
It's your story.
It's my story. It's the truth of what happened. Yeah. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of me and give a message just for dads. Yes. For dads out here that we have a story too.
Yeah, a lot of men don't speak up about things like that, and I wish men would do that because they do need the support of other people, not to bash them and put them down because they chose themselves over a person that is toxic and is like really tearing them down mentally, emotionally, away from their children too. Mm-hmm. So so it's kind of like, you know, a lot of women do that. They use their children to threaten the dad. Like they use the child to control the dad, especially when it's a good person. Yeah. And it's sad and it's fucked up that people should speak up about it, and men should talk about that. Yeah. It's fucked up. So.
Yeah. Did we get through everything?
Yes, we did.
Because this is it.
We did.
This is it. I wanted to make sure we get everything in this video.
Yes, so. And we'll be back next week.
Hold on.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Because I really want to close this out on the right phrase, right note.
Yes.
I just want to say I am thankful for the experience. I don't have a bitter heart. This is the Covington Square where I used to take my daughter. Me and my baby mom used to be here with her, So I wanted to record this video here. It's always a dope place to reflect. I wanted to be able to just tell my story in one long piece of content, so I don't ever have to feel like I have to explain, or because it's tough being in the public eye and people are judging you from a distance. So if anybody sees this video, I hope you got something from it. Maybe it'll help you work through some personal issues that you have with, you know, your co-parent or whatever situation you're in with your child. And I just want to encourage people to not judge from a distance. We all make decisions in our life, and it's usually in our own best interest. And there are sacrifices that are made when you're trying to make the best decisions for yourself.
Yeah.
There is no perfect person. There ain't no perfect man. I want to encourage the men to keep growing and working on yourself. Don't beat yourself up as a dad, as a partner, none of that. And I just want to see us live in a world where men and women can coexist with a little more love. I know we all have trauma. My baby mom has plenty of trauma that she shared with me. So I even understand her. I kind of understand how she or why she treated me the way she treated me based on stuff she shared with me. So I just want to let her know ain't no hard feelings. It ain't no hatred in my heart for her or nobody. I've already forgiven her, but the story is real, the trauma is real, and it's something I gotta live with and carry with me throughout my life. When people ask me, am I a dad? Do you got kids? I can't answer that confidently anymore, because I either have to say no or I have to say yes, but, and then I don't want to go into all that. So I just want to thank everybody for listening, and thank you, babe, for asking me the questions and letting me get through it and have somebody here with me to bounce questions off of, so I don't feel like I'm by myself. Because this is a scary position for a man to be in.
It is.
Because nobody wants to be judged. Nobody wants to be viewed as a deadbeat, especially if you love your kids. So.
And I know how much you love the kids. You love your child, and you love kids, and you're a loving person, period. So people need to hear that, you know. And I think everybody heard you.
Yeah, that's it.
You know. All right, baby. See y'all next week.
Yeah.